All right, then. So we're back for our final stream of the year where we talk about the TV and movies that came out this year and a couple from last year for reasons which will be obvious soon. And introduce the panel. First of all, is a man I'm so pleased could find the time, to join us. It's fellow author Kyle Emerson.
Hello.
Next is a lady that always finds the time to give me the most wonderful art. It's Peter.
Hello.
And finally, is a man who's always found the time to give me the most wonderful project management, but couldn't find his local post office. It's Wombat.
Good morning.
All right, it's good to have you guys back for the last stream of the year.
I'm not taking that bait.
I debated doing that before. Yeah, screw it. It's the last one of the year.
0 out of 10 would not take bait.
All right, so the first topic to do with the industry is one that technically was last year, but because of its ongoing, let's say, issues, is still very much a thing. Where the bloody hell is the tab? There we are. And that is, of course, the writers and artists strike in Hollywood. Now, I'm sympathetic to job losses and stuff like that after some of the shit I've been through recently. But to quote Thinking Critical, when he talked about this whole thing, am I supposed to care? I mean, what do you guys make of all this?
Yeah, it's the Hollywood rank and file getting screwed by their leadership. This is the thing. I'm conflicted because I love the idea of I love the idea of unions. I hate the reality of unions these days, and it's not just Hollywood, but I've been on the receiving end of this back in the day. This is sort of why I'm skeptical. Like you know, I've been through at least 2 economic crises, and I've watched the unions save their mates and shaft everyone else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what's happening here.
And my prime thing on this is like I do feel bad for those who are the low end grunts who this was their literal only thing that keeps them head above water.
Yeah.
Doing this work, and they were already getting paid pretty shit as it was if you actually look into it. I feel sorry for them because they were tricked into thinking that these people were their friends, and these people were actually looking out for them. Not so much the other ones who basically is like, yeah, the rest of you, especially some other you that were just screeching and carrying on, or more like, oh, we want all these other things aside from the few that were like, we just want to get paid what we're owed and keep our jobs, please. Anyone above that who was basically going, we want all this stupid other shit, and like, nah, screw you, you're useful idiots.
Yeah. So funnily enough, I've worked in this system. I've worked in VFX for a while, and it's like the first red flag should have been the fact that I was filling in for the guy I was filling in for was nearly killed by a blood clot due to stress, right? And like one of the looking at the demands, there are some genuine demands that need to be done in Hollywood in terms of reasonable working hours and controls, especially in VFX, because VFX is a meat grinder. I literally slept at work for weeks on end during like crunch times and renderings. I've seen the sheer amount of work and grind and crunch they put the VFX artists through. So there are genuine issues around working conditions that should be addressed. That was SAG-AFTRA. No, that's not what they were going on about. The Teamsters Guild, their negotiations, they were actually bringing up working conditions and things like that, which was currently I think is still in negotiation, and then they may still go on strike. But the writers and the writers, the SAG-AFTRA strike especially, they can all get fornicated with an iron stick because it's like, no, we want writers' rooms, we want diversity. There it is, right? No, you guys aren't fighting for better paying conditions and residuals for your rank and file. You're just trying to push woke stuff in and feathering your own nests.
Yeah, that's what I mean by.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So that's what I mean by that. It's just like, the rank and file lower people is just like, I feel sorry for this shit happening because case of you guys are already getting paid shit. You're basically worked your asses off, and you basically work on the basis of oh, Hollywood's finally deciding to do a movie anywhere where you can get to. Versus these guys, it's a case of what they're asking for is reasonable. It's like, give us reasonable pay, give us reasonable work, like care and whatnot, and all the usual things that people need from a job. Whereas these fucks, I'm like, no, you go get fucked. You're asking for shit that's so fucking beyond the pale. That's not necessary to your life and function for your jobs. Bite me.
There's also this because I've got a mixed mind about this, right? Because on the one hand, yes, I absolutely agree. Writers need to get paid what they're worth.
Yeah.
Right. But the problem is that with the advent of AI, and things like that, the suits up at the top are thinking, hey, well, we're going to save a whole hell of a lot of money by just like putting in a plot idea into ChatGPT or whatever, and then it'll pump us out a fully made script. Well, that's challenging, right? First of all, ChatGPT is not there yet. It can't do that. It can't do that great of a job. It might look good, but like there's not going to be any semblance of a plot. There's all sorts of stuff that's going to miss out on, right? The other element is that there were a lot of missed opportunities during this strike where people could have, for instance, in my own case, I got offered a job just before the strike began to write for a Netflix series, an anthology series. Okay. I was super excited about it. And then the strike happened, and then the series just went.
Yeah.
It never moved ahead. When the strike ended, I was hoping to hear back. I never did. So, there's elements of that. So I've got a little bit of a personal stake in it as well. Yeah.
Well, when you talk about AI, the thing is that I think it was Disney was caught using it in one of their series because they had someone noticed that the extras of the cheering crowd in the scene were very strange in the way they moved, and zooming in, you could tell they were CG. Very badly CG crowd extras, and you think, okay, so this is a good example of this because they're using it to save money by not hiring extras.
Well, that's not the case.
And they're doing it badly. Hang on, because back in the early days, like before AI was a thing, Lord of the Rings and Weta Digital already pioneered that technology, and they did it without AI. Right? It's again, this is Disney being extremely cheap. And so they think, oh, we got this new tool, we can do this really cheap. Like, no, cheap, good, fast. Pick two. And Disney's just going for cheap and fast.
Yeah, because I remember Peter Jackson talking about that technology because I think it was a battle simulation they ran, and he noticed that some of the soldiers at the top of the screen were running away from the battle because of how well they programmed it. You think, yeah, okay, I see his point.
Well, the thing is, this has been done in game engines for literally decades at this point, right? The technology's well and truly there, well and truly exists, and all this. Well, I think who ended up buying? I'm trying to think who ended up buying Weta Digital, because I know that the Weta VFX got sold off. I'm wondering if it was actually Disney that bought them. While you're talking, let me look that up.
Yeah. But I struggled with my sympathies towards it, because when you see clips from people like Matt Damon saying we want to be paid what we're worth, and I sit there and think, mate, you make more money in one film than I'll see in a lifetime. How am I supposed to sympathize with you?
It's the ivory tower problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I also saw, just to finish on this point for you talking, Carl, I think it was Tim Miller, the director, had complained on one directing job he did. He got paid something like $225,000 for it. And I'm thinking, mate, that's 10 years wages for me. What are you complaining about?
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these, these ivory tower types like Matt Damon or, whatever.
Matt Damon.
Sorry. The thing is they have to, we kind of have to rely on people like that to be the mouthpieces for this kind of industry, right? Because they're not going to listen to anybody who's not, recognizable.
I just found, just as a side note, it so hilarious that Fran Drescher is now the head of that union. So any time you're picturing negotiations, you're just picturing the nanny. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Hollywood. Oh, it's just it'd be like,
she was like the prototype for Harley Quinn, I swear.
Yeah.
Well, no. Well, the thing is, it's you just end up just in a very Jewish fight.
Yeah.
It's literally just Jew fight at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, there were those around the strikes that complain about. I think Stephen Amell or Amon, how you pronounce his last name,
Amnel or whatever.
Yeah, he complained because of, I think, the damage it would do to series that were currently on the go, and he basically got a massive clapback. And then next thing you know, he's out on the streets protesting as well. And you think,
yeah, get in line, Scab. Yeah, get in line, Scab. Someone had a word to him, going, be a shame if you were to, not get work in the future, Scab.
Yeah, because also, go on, sorry.
I will say there was a side effect of this writer's strike that was actually really positive, and that was the production of more independent stuff.
Yes,
that was brilliant. I've seen some really good indie films and series coming out since the strike, and I'd love to see more of that because I want to see more creation in the hands of regular people.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was, what was it? You also see people like Rachel Zegler out there saying, "I want to get paid what I'm worth as well," and you think,
I'd never heard of her before yesterday.
Just chuck her a nickel and go, here you go.
Yeah. But to be fair to them, I also saw the is that now famous video segment of Matt Damon on the I can't remember what the podcast's called, but where he's asked about why certain movies aren't being made anymore, and he goes through how the budgets are calculated and how much you could earn to make your money back. And he does say that physical media, DVDs and Blu-rays, they were like a second opening for films when they went on sale, and now streaming has kind of made that obsolete. So that's why you're seeing a lot of this crap that we're going to get into shortly out there.
Congratulations, Hollywood, you played yourself.
Yeah.
And it's well, it said, but project management stuff as well. That when we get into a lot of the Disney stuff, you're like, okay, a lot of these projects need to be taken out to the shed and shot. No, it's like, no, you don't have a budget problem. You have a project scope and control problem.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But, continue. We'll get into it.
Yeah, we definitely see this kind of back onto the indie thing. Is like, for instance, A24, right? They've been, I remember them from back in the day as just kind of schlocky, kind of B movie, but fun to watch, But more recently, they've been coming out with some like gold.
Yeah, also A24's in the UK, so they don't have to deal with the American teams.
Fair enough, yeah.
Because this is the thing. They really need to, and as much as I dislike union breaking, it has to happen because especially in the US, it's like, no, you just need to do films. You'll notice all the indie stuff is being done outside of Hollywood because the problem is that SAG-AFTRA, the three unions, so the Writers Union, I forget exactly which. There's three unions essentially. There's the Writers Union, the Actors Union, and then there's the Teamsters Union. They all work hand in hand. So if one goes on strike, they all go on strike, sort of thing, right? So this is the problem. So you really just, if you're going to do, that's it. A24 does fantastic stuff because they don't work in the States, right? They do it all in the UK.
Yeah. So obviously, with that in mind, talking about independent stuff, it brings us on nicely to crowdfunded movies and TV, which we don't get to cover often because honestly, there isn't a fat lot of it worth talking about that's actually any good. But then the YouTuber Critical Drinker threw his hat into the ring and got a short TV episode made called Rogue Elements, which was based on his Ryan Drake series that he writes. And as you can see here, it was very successful. Just scrolling, getting out of here. Yeah. So asked for 20 grand goal, got just over 300,000.
300 British pounds too.
Yes.
Which is more in Canadian Monopoly money.
Yeah.
it's about 600. Yeah, 600 freedom bucks.
And it's free to watch on his YouTube channel. And it's very good. You can see the budget's been used carefully. And it's, it's like you said, I'd love to see more of this. So it's nice to see a YouTuber actually putting his hat in the ring and coming out with something decent and also on time, I should point out, which goes back to what I said earlier.
No shade.
Yeah, which, well, again, it goes back to what I said last stream about some of the comics out there, which again...
Well, again, this is my wheelhouse because, again, a lot of it is project management stuff. And, the thing is, independent films, regardless of who's doing them, when they have tiny budgets, it's like, okay, what means we have to have a very, having tiny budgets enforces really good project management because it's like, nope, we can only, they know we can only shoot, we've got this much time. We know our time limits. We know our shooting limits, and we know what we can work with.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends up forcing them to get everything right before they even start shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have stories from when we get to it for the animation stuff. Or if you want, I can talk about it now. Enter the Spider-Verse stuff.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Well, I know someone. I've got to be careful about this because I don't want to out him. Who worked within Sony during that period, very, very, very closely with that team. And he said, it was an absolute meat grinder because the people running it, Sony just gave them carte blanche, especially after the first Spider-Verse. They went, "Oh, that made money! Quick, great! We found a cash cow." And so they gave the directors and the executive producers carte blanche. So, and again, these guys do not understand how animation works and how much time and effort there is in it to actually re-render scenes. And so they looked, we don't like that scene. Let's completely redo it. Or let's change this. And so they were spending an absolute fortune in render time, and they were just burning. Their attitude was just, the artists are replaceable and expendable, which is why when they announced the new Spider-Verse film, I think the third one, the artists just went, get fucked, and all quit. Because
it was
oh wow.
Yeah, it was. They basically announced that, we're going to get the second one within a year, and the artists have all gone, "No, fuck you. That's fucking impossible. We're out. Fuck you."
Yeah.
So they pretty much just went, "Fuck this shit. I'm out." No, because just the amount of grinding that went through because of the way the work culture at Sony, rather than doing it the traditional way, which is you storyboard it, you get it all ready to go, and then you animate it. Right, and in what I was joking about with one of my friends is they've introduced agile project management to filmmaking, and anyone who knows anything about agile, I fucking hate agile. Not because of agile itself. Agile is a sort of a dynamic project management system. It's initially done for software, but the problem is that really unscrupulous, people doing projects, they pick and choose the bits of agile they like to justify their bad behavior. Yeah. So this is where, if people are unfamiliar with terms, I'll explain. This is where crunch and sprint comes in, right? So what they do in agile, if you actually go back and read the original agile stuff as originally defined, yes, crunch and sprints are a thing, right? You may have times where you have to give people a lot of overtime to get stuff across the line. But if you then read the next paragraph, it says, if you do this, their productivity is going to drop like a stone afterwards, and you need to give them recovery time. And recovery time is not linear. So if you crunch them for a week, it's going to take them possibly 3 weeks to recover. You crunch them for a month, it's going to take them 6 months to recover. Ergo, use it very sparingly. See, anyone implementing agile stuff just basically reads the first paragraph and ignores the rest. And, crunching their staff just becomes standard operating procedure. And I've seen this firsthand working in VFX. So, this is what we're seeing now is with the big Hollywood stuff, is they don't have set scope, and the higher ups, and we get this to Disney, it's costing them. It's costing them redonkulous amounts of money. And they're not making it back.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the Spider-Verse stuff, I decided to look up exactly when it potentially, the ball started rolling. I'd say, going from what I'm reading, if this is all like the actual animation ball started rolling and they started production, I'd say it's like they said, it's about 2015 that they formally announced they're doing a new Spider-Man movie that ended up being Into the Spider-Verse. So that's like 2015, and if they started animating a few years later, that's still several years of work to get what we got. And these fuckheads have turned around and gone, "Oh, you guys did it in what, 5-6 years? You could do another one in a year, surely. We've got all the assets and everything." And after it took us that fucking long, because it's one thing. Because the way animation, especially 3D animations, you can take it up to a point where you've got the rough animations down, and that's when you can basically go, okay, we'll polish this to finish, or this is not really working, let's rework this bit of information here, rework angles, whatnot. But that's the point where you go, time for rework, not You finish animating, you finish rendering. Oh, I want to take that scene and tie that and redo it again. Like,
there's this kind of math that I kind of figured out when I was trying to learn 3D modeling. And what I figured out is that even if I had streamlined my process and had all the assets already ready-made and stuff like that, hand animating those things, I might get 3 seconds of footage per day, not counting rendering time. Like just, you know, and so there's this idea that like the suits up at the top there. What I think would be a good solution to this is every single person on those boards that are making these financial decisions needs to spend a day in the freaking, you know, offices where they're doing this work.
Oh no, that involves being down with the plebs and not going to be doing that.
Right?
They're out schmoozing the Hollywood crowd. No, they don't. Well, the other thing that's kind of the other thing that screwed Sony really hard is that Sony got rid of their internal render farm. Right, all the hardware and stuff that they used to do the rendering, and they've been doing it with cloud rendering. Cloud rendering is not cheap because you're paying for CPU time, and rendering is very CPU and GPU intensive depending on the layers you're using. So that was another thing, is the studios in their infinite wisdom went, oh, we'll get rid of that infrastructure and we'll just do it on a cloud, which makes sense in some business respects if you do it properly. But the fact that they're doing all this rework and everything else means that they're just, you know, they're massively overpaying, well, you know, out of budget because their scope isn't fixed, right? If you're constantly re-rendering scenes and the rest of it, you know, every time that you do a re-rendering with that cloud farm, it may cost you $100,000, and that's at the very low end, right? It's probably up to close to $500,000 for once you factor in all the, you know, CPU, GPU, cloud costs. Right, so the cloud providers were absolutely laughing. Like, ILM would have been making fat bank off it, but yeah, Sony not so much.
So can we just briefly roll it back to the crowdfunding topic?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. So I just through school, this is a student project I'm working on. I'm making a documentary that requires me to actually throw a video up on Kickstarter and raise money for it myself.
Okay.
Right? I have not done that yet. I'm planning to do that within the next 7 days. I've already got my promo video already, but like I've done a whole bunch of research on like how this all works, and you know, like it's not just as simple as like throwing it up there and hoping people notice. You know, people like Critical Drinker, who's got a following of like what he's got like 12 million followers, something like that.
I think so.
You know, it's easy to see because he's got that affordability. He's got that. Reputation already to be a content creator, you know.
But he is also a successful writer, it should be noted.
Exactly, right. So there's that element as well. So when you're, you know, somebody like me who changes his identity online every few years, you know, it's a little bit harder to kind of get noticed without like calling upon like my older networks and, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm actually asking for quite a bit less. I'm asking for 25 grand Canadian, but you know, my little secret is I only need 5. You know,
you probably shouldn't have said that on a live stream, but you know.
Oh no. It's fine. It's fine because basically 5 I can make it with, but 25 I can make it the way.
But again, this is my point, is that forces good project management. It's like, okay, the project, you know, the core scope of the project is going to take 5, but we've got, you know, contingency fund and, you know, we can potentially expand scope. But the point is, you're not going to start doing things until you've got the money, right? Because then you can look at your budget and go, right, what can we actually do with this budget? And, you know, you're going to have really good cost control and you're going to have really good scope control. And this is the, you know, Hollywood, and this is the thing, the fish rots from the head down. Right. So looking at these sort of indie projects versus what Hollywood's doing, Hollywood's just like, oh no, go off and do the thing. There's no cost controls, and the bigger the studio, the worse the worse the cost controls get.
There is the element that, you know, us creatives, we tend to not look at the money and look more at the, you know, like, what do we need? Okay, you know, we're like the Justin Trudeau's of
well, and that's the thing, is creatives need to, and you know, this is how, you know, Justin and I sort of got one of the things that we sort of, and becoming friends over, is he was sort of struggling with a lot of this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I can help you manage projects. I can help you, you know, get this stuff organized, and you can go from A to Z and just give you some basic framework to work with. And the thing is, when I talk about project management, a lot of people are eyes glaze over, but I'm like, no, it's just getting things done.
Yeah.
It's just going, right, I have a thing I want to achieve. It has a start and a finish. I need to figure out what I'm doing, which is scope, right? Yeah. It's like going, I'm going to build a house. Okay, well, when you build a house, you know how many rooms you're going to have, how many bathrooms you're going to have, how much, square footage you're going to do, right? Versus if you're doing it the way that Buddy Disney and that are building, they're building their house, they're just going, we're just building this monstrosity that we're adding rooms and demolishing rooms. And
yeah, we're about to get to that.
Yeah.
But for the critical drinkers rogue element, I'd advise anyone who's not seen it to check it out, because it's about 42 minutes and it's a bloody good show. And it is well made. You can see the budget on the screen. And for those wondering if the guy does the cameo,
no, we can't, because you haven't got it on the screen.
I've just taken it off, but in the show, and yes, he does cameo in it, but I won't spoil as to where. Right, so moving on now to our regular visit to the Disney Star Wars universe, and so we'll start off with the sad news that we lost James Earl Jones this year. Obviously, commiserations to his friends and family, and also if you look at this meme that was made, Mark Hamill's also lost his mind.
I feel sorry. There's got to be something going on with Hamill, because he's just getting increasingly unhinged. I'm like, the dude's winding down. It's just the boy. I'm not going to say it's. While you see his unhinged Twitter rants, I'm like, the boy ain't right. There's something general going on there.
I mean, look, I do appreciate that TDS is a massive thing in Hollywood, but even with him, it's like, dude, cool it, really.
I think there's a much wider problem than just like TDS or whatever. It's general social media addiction and misinformation, and the susceptibility to that misinformation. And disinformation, for that matter, right? Like, we all know there's fucking people out there whose sole purpose on the internet is to cause discord and to divide people.
Yeah.
Well, you mean people go on the internet and lie? Why would they do that?
Oh God. I recently just had a friend literally get committed, like involuntarily held against her will, because of her adherence to a lot of misinformation. In this case, it was about like chemicals in her food and stuff like that, but like she was putting herself and her daughter in major harm.
So, and that's that. In a lot of cases, that is a symptom of something deeper. It's There's an underlying psychosis there for sure. But it was prompted. It was triggered. It was the catalyst was this online information she was getting off of TikTok, right? And so I think that's something that celebrities are not immune to. In fact, if anything, they're probably more susceptible just because they're such like central figures, and again, a lot of them are sort of barely functional narcissists, or they need the attention sort of thing. But the thing is, in the old days, they used to have agents to wrangle them. Right. Whereas these days, you're kind of getting them unfiltered, and it's just like they're their own worst enemy. So again, the thing is, the smart ones you don't hear from. Right, the smart ones have a PR person who runs their Twitter, or they don't even have it. It's just a boring PR Twitter. It's like, this is the thing, we kind of get a bit of a selection bias, so that we only see the screeching howler monkey ones. The rest of them with any brains just go,
and there's quite a few with brains.
Yeah, there's quite a few that just, was it Mark Wahlberg is the same. He's just like, I'm not going to have political opinions. I'm an actor. Right, there's a few like that, but
Kurt Russell.
I think Ryan Reynolds as well. He's put his foot down when people try to start politics with him. He's like, no, we're here to talk about whatever project I'm working on, not whatever that is.
Or buy my gin. It's just like buy. But the thing is, you also, and even within the Disney realm, you look at, because I think the Valiant Renegade guys brought this up, is you look at Anthony Mackie versus Rachel Ziegler. You can see that Winter Falcon, or the Diversity Falcon, whatever you're going to call it, movie's going to be an absolute train wreck, because they've shot it multiple times over and over and over again. But you don't see him running his mouth on Twitter.
No.
Right? Anthony Mackie is like, as an actor, he seems very professional.
Mm-hmm. He's also done some really good flicks outside of like the Marvel stuff.
Yeah. Again, I'm not. Again, as an actor, I think he's probably a really good professional. Good actor. It's just unfortunate that he's ended up contractually obligated to Disney to sort of do this shit. I think after you see after the latest Falcon movie, I think once his contract's up, he's just like, I'm out. Like you've seen with all the other big actors with the Marvel stuff. As soon as their contract ends, they're like, we're out. See ya.
Yeah.
Well, for them, it was more or less a case of, okay, I've been doing this X number of years. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I want to do something else. I want to especially for the likes of Chris Hemsworth. He's doing a shit ton of indies. He's like, I'm tired of Hollywood.
Yeah, but he got out of Hollywood. It was also just it wasn't just the whole politics thing. He's just like, no, I'm getting out of Hollywood. Right? That a lot of them, Hollywood, you see all the professional ones have just gone like, we're out of Hollywood because it's just an absolute, asylum at this point.
Yeah.
So
and he's going with the whole indies thing because case of I can do my job as an actor and act and be a role, be a character, and not be basically cookie cutter Thor, or basically people trying to basically go, oh, you're just this hot guy, and like, can I actually act?
He's also got like a real fucking solid sense of humor. Sorry, am I allowed to swear here?
Yeah, of course you are.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. He's got a solid.
We've got Australians on the stream here, Jack.
That's right. Yeah. But like with regards to Star Wars, I'm just gonna put this out there. I am so fatigued with all things Star Wars.
We're about to get into it.
Yeah, I'm fatigued.
So with Star Wars, there are only 2 releases to talk about this year, and the first one, of course, you're going to know what this is. The Acolyte.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, don't.
None of us have. None of us have. No interest in lesbian space witches, and they're not even hot.
No.
The last one that I saw was Boba Fett. That was it. Yeah, that was the last one I saw.
I watched Boba Fett, and that was what put me off because it was just so boring, and that wasn't Boba Fett as far as I'm concerned.
It was a bait and switch.
Yeah. And with the Acolyte, of course, you've got the fire in space. You've got the stone temple burning down. You've got the infamous Power of One, Power of Two song, which I'm not going to try and sing. You've got
just mentioning that just makes me cringe.
Yeah, you've got the hideous acting of Amanda Stenberg, and the diss track she dropped to attack. Yeah, I know the diss track that she dropped to deal with "quote unquote" the haters. I could go on.
Those in general are just cringy. Like I don't even know the context behind this, but just
don't.
That's a perfect example of a narcissistic actor, and she's basically, oh, you are absolutely fawning all over me. You are basically begging to tongue my taint over my show. Oh, I'm going to show you.
I don't even know who this bitch is.
Yeah, no. I'll spare you the details, but the series is obviously run by Leslie Headland, who was Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant,
aka lesbian head case.
Yeah,
and again, there's the theory is that she's as much as a predator as Weinstein.
Yeah,
the theory
even had her wife as one of the main characters. Nepotism in Hollywood is alive and well. And the series was
epitome of I've never acted in my life, and that shows because I don't know how to read a script or do emote things.
Yeah. And the series was quite rightly trashed by just about everyone that watched it. I mean, I
don't know. I'm looking at those scores, and 19 seems a bit high. I think there's some, it's like the fact that. Yeah, well, that's the critics. The critics 78, 19. I'm like, wow, there's 19% of people are like, what?
Obviously, as we go through this, I should point out to
there's
those
some botting happening there.
But there is going to be some significant differences between the review scores because, well, as again, Critical Drinkers refer to a lot of these critics, they are paid shills. They only give it stuff good ratings simply so they can get access to the stars and so forth.
This speaks to this whole like nepotism and cronyism in Hollywood and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely.
Like any filmmaker knows that I've only made one film myself, and I casted of all the actors, one of them was a friend of mine who just got the role because he was a friend and I needed the spot filled.
Yeah,
he was the worst fucking actor on that goddamn thing. It was just
never
everybody
again.
else. Never again. I will never cast a friend just because they're a friend. I will cast them if they're a good actor.
And professionally, I don't hire mates. Right? If I need something for a professional service or whatever else, I'm like, I don't hire friends because for just because they're friends, if they happen to have that skill set, I will get someone else to vet them, and I will take myself out of that process. But I do not hire. And the thing is, I've even had one guy who's like, he seemed to have all the skills. No, it turns out he was a dysfunctional narcissist, and he ended up just because it makes you look bad.
And also, it's a case of friend, sorry, because of conflict, I can't hire you myself, but I will recommend you your services to those who are looking for what you do. That's a great compromise to that.
And the funny thing about this is, after the series had come out and it had been cancelled, Amanda Stenberg was seen at some, I don't know, screening event or whatever you want to call it, and she was wearing a blatantly see-through top. And you sort of look at that and think, yeah, you're screaming out for work. Good luck.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's
work. It's just attention.
Yeah,
look at me, look at me, look at my tits. Attention.
At the risk of coming across as well, fuck it, whatever. I'm sexist. Anyways,
go for it.
There are some situations in which you don't need acting skills to be in front of a camera. You just got to look good.
Yeah,
and that's fine, and that's fine. But like, you still have to be able to follow direction. You still have to be able to, do as is request without turning into a narcissistic monster. And so when I see people who arguably can or can't act, I don't know much about this not Renee, what's her name?
Amanda Stenberg?
No, the one from Snow White, Rachel.
Oh, Rachel Zegler.
Rachel Zegler again, right? Narcissistic, can't keep her fingers off Twitter.
I haven't seen any of her acting. I don't know anything.
No one has, because she's only been in a couple of minor roles before this. And basically she's like, Disney's like, yeah.
She has a
track record for every single movie she has been in anything close to a starring role has failed and failed miserably.
Yeah,
but the thing is, again, there's a contrast here, right? For example, Edward Norton, notoriously difficult to work with.
Yeah.
But still, when you can get directors who work with him, he does fantastic work. There's a couple of what's his name? Agent Smith.
Will Smith?
No. Matrix Agent Smith, not Cuck Smith.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah. No.
Hugo Weaving. Sorry,
Hugo Weaving. Sorry, that's it. It's early. I haven't quite woken up yet. Brain no work. Yeah, but again, Hugo Weaving's the same thing. When he's notoriously difficult to work with, but when you can find directors who work with him, he produces fantastic performances. So you can have slightly prima donna actors, and that's why you don't see Weaving and Norton getting a lot of work these days, because they've kind of burned the bridges with those people. People just go, no, you're too hard to work with. You're not worth it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you've become too much of a problem with some of these actors. It's like, we once were able to tolerate you because we had the budget and you had the star power, but as times have changed, star power is waning. Not anymore.
Yeah. Obviously, on to the current release from Disney is Skeleton Crew.
This
is
Hold on. So they came out with that Star Trek Prometheus or whatever the hell it's called. What was it? Like the kids version. This is just their answer to that. I swear to God.
Yeah. It's a kids show. Basically, Star Wars. Yeah, and it's terrible. But again, this goes back to Disney should have fired Kathleen Kennedy 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. At least. So the fact that Disney hasn't fired Kathleen Kennedy, and Kathleen Kennedy seems to basically be there until she dies in the chair, says that, holy shit, I want someone to leak her contract, because I want to see the clauses she's got in that contract that stops her being given the ass.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, do you literally know where the bodies are buried at this point? Ian, you being a producer in Hollywood and working around, I'm sure she does. I'm sure, her and Lesbian Headcase both have, enough dirt on Hollywood stuff. That's the only reason they're still working there.
Yeah.
But Star Wars, until they fire KK, and I don't just mean let her retire and do her award stuff. I mean frog march her out and apologize to the public. Just go, yeah, we're sorry, and actually get someone good in, which I don't think they can even do at this point. No. Disney's doomed.
They're not gonna fire her until they let her make Gossip Girl in space. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, to be fair,
even then, when they do that and it tanks, they're still not going to fire her. That's the problem, right? Because she's rumored to have been. The rumor is that she wants to go out on a high, and on a big
good luck with that.
So yeah,
might be high.
yeah, sweetie. That means you're there till the heat death of the universe because you're never going to be able to do that.
No,
right?
I mean, I will be fair for a moment. This is the highest rated Star Wars show, I believe, to have come out for a long time, but I still don't think it's enough.
Again, and I don't trust those. I don't trust those metrics because it's only just come out, and again, Disney has a history of botting and messing with Rotten Tomatoes. So what happens is once the checks stop clearing, the ratings get much more realistic.
Yeah,
but I just don't think anyone's watching it. It's just like we don't care.
The few people that have basically said it's inoffensive.
Yeah,
but it's not exactly all that entertaining either. The first episode apparently plotted a lot, and they're like, "Okay, you're setting up characters. Okay, we'll still give it a go." Second episode, okay, this is a bit better, but still a bit plotting and okay.
Yeah.
Third, they're like, "Oh, there it is. There's the lesbian mums."
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the lesbian moms.
Yeah.
And they're basically give it one more try, and it's not really.
I don't really give a shit if there's LGBT shit in shows.
As long as it's not normally they wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's exactly. So they normally wouldn't give two shits, but it's so heavily saturated, and it's a case of you're doing it again, and you're putting it front and center. It's not just a happenstance. You're having to shove it in people's faces again, and the story is like the show is already plotting as it is. It's not exactly exciting as it is. So...
But it's not their only problem because, as I'm about to share, they have a tendency to constantly announce projects that never see the light of day. And
because
the most recent one is the Rey centric movie,
which absolutely no one wants. And this is this is Disney not having KK on any sort of leash.
No, which is apparently directed by Shameen. I can't pronounce her last name.
Oh God,
the notorious feminist filmmaker. But the thing is, even the Critical Drinkers cover this. All news about production of this film has just vanished.
Yeah, because KK announces shit in the hope of getting Disney to greenlight it. Yeah. Basically putting them in a position where they, in her mind, they can't say no. And they're like, no. It's just like, no, we don't want to lose another, $1 billion+ on this again. But the thing is, at the same time, Disney can't sack her for some reason.
No.
So, again, and people say it's because her husband.
She's got something on them.
Well, again, because her husband's
part of the contract.
Well, again, that and her husband's one of the big producers in Hollywood. And I say husband, he's her beard. I know what's the female equivalent of a beard? American? Because you will not convince me that KK isn't gay. Again, that's why she keeps a lesbian head case around as her personal assistant. But no, that's the thing is Disney can't or won't sack her. And so, she's just like, oh, we're doing the thing. And then Disney's just quietly, once she leaves stage, the Disney exec comes out and goes, we're not actually doing the thing. Yeah. Like, no.
Yeah, because obviously movies like Rogue One announced, never appeared. The Rian Johnson trilogy announced, never appeared. The writing duo behind Game of Thrones announced a trilogy, never appeared. I could go on.
And the thing is, they never even got into pre-prod, right? They were just like, it's just KK brain farts.
Yeah,
we're doing the thing, and like, no, you're not doing the thing. And that's the whole point is the fact that Disney can't leash her like that. Going, no, here is the approved schedule that we've managed in the back end. Yeah. Now you can announce it. It's it's the tail wagging the dog. It's KK going, we're doing the thing, and then Disney's like, no, we're not. No, what the fuck? I'm sure
it's also. It's a systemic problem with anything to do with Star Wars, Disney, and sometimes Disney as a whole, in that there's no one tard wrangling all these people and basically giving them a harsh slap in the back of the head every time they can even consider opening their mouths and saying, we're going to do X, when no one's actually, done any sort of approval of any kind.
They used to have someone like that, and they basically they pushed them out. I'm trying to remember which one at Disney used to do that. But yeah, no, they had someone who would wrangle those tards, and now no one's really wrangling them, and it's unofficially Bob Iger who wrangles them, and he just lets them run rampant because he likes smoozing with Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, here we go. As I said, Taika Waititi's Star Wars film updates been few and far between.
Oh no,
he's
because
so
again,
hit
you
and
know who's
miss.
going to be in it.
Yeah.
You're gonna have tiny brown Valkyrie because she's the one blowing him and his wife.
Yeah.
I
Lando.
mean,
Because everyone wants to
I'd
see
be okay
that.
with that, but...
Well, no, have you not seen that story?
I've seen the pictures.
No, yeah, Kyle, have you not seen that? Like, no, literally. That's why she keeps getting roles with whatever her name is.
Just goes back to like Joss Whedon and Scarlett Johansson. Like shit like that happens. The fucking industry's full of polyamorous people. It is what it is, you know. Like,
well, they basically
got caught on camera
BTSO'd because they were doing it publicly, and they got told, "Yeah,
Oh,
we get
nice.
you want to basically rug munch and dick suck all you want, you three, but don't do it fucking public."
Yeah, that's why you had a 4-foot brown girl being cast as a Valkyrie in one of the bloody Marvel films. I'm like, really? Yeah.
I mean, I see it.
They
She's
went from
hot.
like,
I like her.
She's a 6 on a good day.
It's a taste thing.
Yeah.
But
Let's
the
leave that one
reason
there, though.
with that was, it's a case of, yes, we know that happens, but the whole point is you basically behave like friends in public and get up to your shenanigans in private. You don't do it actively in public and pretty much be going down on the guy and his wife in public, because that immediately makes the audience go, oh, so that's why she's getting all these roles, not because she's actually a decent actress.
Yeah, not wrong.
All right, so we'll move on then to start talking about some of the streamed content that came out this year and a little bit of last. Again, we will probably fly through some of this for obvious reasons, like we just said, but also there's no budget details on a lot of this stuff, so and
from a business point of view, if there's no budget, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and if I don't mention the budget, it's because I couldn't find it before we went to stream.
It basically, and the thing is, you follow. There's other people who look at the industry side of this stuff on YouTube, Valiant Renegade and etc. And they're like, they say the same thing. It's just like, there's no budget, it doesn't exist. This is just KK having brain farts.
Yeah. So the first one to talk about on Netflix is Damsel.
It was okay.
The bit that
5
bothered,
out of 10. It was okay.
The bit that bothered me is when she falls through all the branches and survives it, and I just looked at it and thought those branches would have cut her to pieces. I don't buy it at all.
It was kind of telegraphed throughout the course of the movie. You kind of saw where it was leading even before, But
But
the suspension of disbelief, and then there's
there's only so much I can go with it. And also, I think,
again, a lot of people have just gone, it's a girl boss movie.
Skip. Because wasn't the dragon a girl who didn't fight her when she realized she was a woman or something stupid like that?
No, it was when she realized that she had been fooled. That she had been or she was being fooled too, right? But like the villains in that movie were so just not like, they were just cookie cutter villains. Right, like
cookie cutter male bad.
Like, they're just greedy. That's their only trait. They're greedy. That's it.
I mean, it's also
see what I just want to go. I just want them to go back to villains. Going, why are you a villain? Because I'm fucking evil, and it makes my pee hard.
There's also
villain.
The thing of Millie Bobby Brown just appearing in almost everything now, and it's like, I appreciate she's a working actress.
Yeah, she's the diversity tea-colored actress. That's the thing. That's why buddy Emma what's her face gets it as well. Is they're generically, they're not white, but they're not like black. They're just generically tea-colored, right? So ambiguous, not.
But it's
white,
a case of
right?
I just fear that people will just get sick of seeing her eventually because she just appears in so much.
Oh no, she's a fantastic indicator. Right, people just go, oh, okay, this is going to be a diverse girl boss movie. Skip.
So there was that one, and then this one is one of the good releases of Netflix. And where are you? Here we are. Beverly Hills Cop 4 or Beverly Hills Cop Axel F.
I haven't seen it yet, unfortunately.
Right, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it without spoilers. Then it was a fine movie. I'd call it above average. Eddie Murphy back on form, if you want to call it that, and the decent enough story. And I've there were some good throwbacks to the previous films as well, including when they mentioned his adventures in the theme park in Beverly Hills Cop 3, which was notoriously bad. One of the characters says to him, "Not your finest hour," and I thought, okay, that's a good little bit of meta.
Yeah, but you know why this one was actually good, right? It's because Murphy was one of the executive producers and he had actually control over it, right? So, and he knows enough to, he knows enough and he's been in Hollywood long enough that, he has people around who will tell him no and he will listen to them.
So
right?
I give it a do because it was an entertaining movie, but it did come with a sad caveat at the end of it all, which I will just get to now. And that was John Ashton, who was Taggart, passed away shortly after production, which was a real shame. But for those who enjoyed the film, it was nice that he got one more good send-off before his passing.
Yeah, poor guy. We would have been working when he was sick.
At 76, but passed away peacefully following a battle with cancer. So, commiserations to his friends and family, and we lost a good one. So that was sad, but again, they got one more good movie, and the final scene was Taggart and Rosewood in the front of the car, Murphy jumping in the back, just like old times, and they went and got some food. So I thought, that was a nice way to finish it. So kudos to them for that. But then we've got Rebel Moon.
Again, this is because Snyder's, again, he's one of those ones. He surrounds himself with people who just go, yes, Snyder, Snyder. Let me nom the balls, Snyder. And again, good good producers and project and have people around them who will tell them no and listen to them when they tell them,
I appreciate that the man has a vision. I absolutely do. I even like, I don't know if this is going to be a controversial, but his cut of the Justice League, I actually enjoyed. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I have no problem with Snyder as a visual director. He does some of the best visuals in film.
Yeah, he's
don't let him write. Don't let him do story because I think he gets his brother to do it as well. He's just no, you get him to do the visuals, right? Just keep him far away from the story.
Yeah. There was so much in this. Yeah,
City of the Dead, was that one of his? The Vegas one with the zombies and the zombie tiger.
Yes.
That was another one of his. And
it had good bones.
Yeah, just terrible writing.
I watched it for the sake of, everyone's carrying on about this, but I'm just going to sit through on a day when I'm sick and just watch it for the whole, so was there anything good here? There were a lot of good points.
Yeah.
But because no one had stepped in and gone, okay, we need to tighten this script up, remove some of this fluff shit that just makes absolutely no fucking sense. Like, why was one zombie smacked in the face and it suddenly looks like the robot underneath?
Yeah.
Or the thing where they found their own bodies in near the vault.
No.
That was weird.
Yeah, and again, it's just like but I'm like, Snyder he's trying to do his visual stuff and just like, I get it. You're trying to do clever shit, but without the proper writing to otherwise then the clever shit just like the fuck. Right, it's just my brain. Why? Emotion break. Page.
He writes like a teenager. He writes like a teenager. He's like, oh, I got this idea. Oh, I got that idea. Oh, this is something so cool. Like, that's great, buddy. But you're not a teenager. You're a grown man. You want a multi-million-dollar budget movie. You need to tighten it in, rein it in, and focus on a story point, not just basically, cool thing.
Yeah,
he's too ADHD for that.
But the thing is, what?
Hey! I resemble
I think we all do. I'm on my advance right now.
Yeah. But what bothered me about this one though was the fact that he announced the two movies, and then he immediately announced director's cuts of them. It's like, well, why can't you just put them out like that in the first place? Was it
like, dude, you've got full control? Stop it! That's blatant cash grabbing.
That was a silly thing to do.
And it also proves he took the wrong thing away from his cut for the Batman movies. It's like, people wanted that because they wanted to see what your original vision was, and your visual storytelling was better than what we initially got. That's not a carte blanche to do that with every single fucking movie you ever make it beyond that.
Well, this whole idea of him attaching his name, this the Snyder cut. Like I'm supposed to actually like, you know,
Because he got
you
his
know,
ego
again,
for, like,
like,
his
ooh,
promo.
it's a
It's like,
branding
dude,
thing. Yeah, it's like, ooh,
you're not
the
Scorsese.
brand.
Like,
Even then,
dude, yeah.
it's an ego thing.
Even Scorsese
Yeah.
these days, yeah. Even Scorsese, because I did watch The Irishman, and Scorsese had the same problem. The Irishman was a good film. It could have been done with being about 30 minutes shorter, right? Less wistful car drives, and then actors looking out windows and shit and admiring the New England, the New York, scenery. I'm like, no, just fucking tighten it up. Right?
Yeah, agreed.
And then we've got Atlas.
I fucking hate J-Lo.
Yeah, quite a few people think the same.
With a passion.
Yeah, Mom, can we have a Titanfall movie? We have a Titanfall movie at home. It's like a Kmart knockoff of a Titanfall movie. That is why everyone just absolutely hated it. Like, oh, are we getting a Titanfall? Oh, J-Lo. Oh, God.
Yeah.
She
And the fact that
stayed a booty shaker.
Yeah,
as one of the fly girls.
the fact that in the movie itself, they had a moment where one of the robots is walking past and pulls a pony out. Oh, it's she her?
yeah.
Thank you. I'm like,
as soon as I heard that, I thought, no, fuck off. I'm going nowhere near this.
No, as soon as I saw it's J-Lo doing girl boss. Oh, only I can detect the AI. What, does your vagina give you special AI
because there's a bit in the
powers?
trailer where she
Like,
goes,
no,
you need me on this
just-
mission. I thought, no, fuck off. I'm out.
No, we fucking don't.
Right. Get that one out of the way quick because, ugh.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, again, the Titanfall crowd are especially pissed. Like, that was just the worst thing. It's just like, big Titanfall sandwich. You open it up, it's just got one massive.
it's like you're already being blueballed on Titanfall 3. They've seen that and go, Titanfall movie. Oh.
Yeah. And then there's this one, the 688.
Oh,
I've never actually heard of this.
as a history nerd, this one especially enrages me because it is complete bullshit. This shit, none of this happened.
Yeah, there was real women, black women,
and like
the real stuff they did in the war.
Yeah,
nope, not going to ignore that. We're going to bank up shit Holocaust.
Oh, hold on.
Well,
Which war?
and that's the other thing. That's my next point. As World War II, right? And the thing is, here's the thing, right? You want to tell quote unquote diverse stories and rada. Yeah, the U.S. Army was still segregated right up until the Korean War. There are plenty of real life, feel good desegregation stories that you can draw on from World War II, right? This is not one of them. This is just making up bullshit for diversity quota points and we're sticking it to white men because we're delivering their mail. What? Yeah, this is just
They were male ladies. Is that what I'm understanding here? Okay, all right.
Yeah. Literally, we are the black women's auxiliary, which was a thing because again, U.S. Army segregated still. We're gonna do all the other even the white women can't do the mail properly. We're gonna do it. We're gonna be better on it.
That's what I mean. It's like there were stories of black women involved in World War II that could have been adapted into something interesting. But no, we can't take real people. We got to adapt shit whole cloth so we can shove in our own ideologies that didn't exist back then.
What was that movie came out a year or two ago? It was like The Woman King or whatever it was. Where they're like, oh, these women were girl boss heroes kind of thing, but they were also harshly responsible for the transatlantic slave trade.
Yes,
we'll just gloss that part over.
Oh yeah, that's right. That African, that's right. That African Queen thing, yeah. And they did it. They did a TV series on Catherine the Great, and I'm like, I've had some clips turn up on my YouTube feed. I've had a look, and I'm like, oh, this is cringe. Like you could have actually just used Catherine the Great herself and used like a whole she was legitimately no, this is just cringe. Ew.
Right. And then there's Arcane season 2.
I've seen the first season.
The second season, the animation is still great. The voice acting is, I think, top notch. But there were complaints that the story was a bit of a mess towards the end. I'm at two minds about it. What about you guys?
Yeah, they got wibbly wobbly. I need to sit down and watch series 2. I was just waiting for it to finish so I could actually binge it.
I'm going to do.
It got a little wibbly wobbly, timey wimey apparently, and you kind of have to do that because one of the characters is Echo. That's kind of one of his abilities in the game.
And also, I've had a lot of people complain. It turned from yes, there's like lesbian love stories and whatnot. We've got no problem with that too. Now you turn into lesbian torture porn.
Yeah, it's realistic lesbian relationship. What? There's a lot of domestic violence.
People initially were like, "Yeah, we've got no problem with the relationships and whatnot, that because you're doing it perfectly fine." To now, okay, now you've gone from it's just a thing that is just a thing that this is to okay, now you're pushing it too hard, and now you're turning into like I've heard quite a few people call it basically lesbian torture porn for how far they push the whole love story thing, but also the violence involved with the couple and whatnot.
Well, I mean, the V's character is pretty rough and tumble, right? So yeah, it makes sense.
They push it beyond. My understanding of it is a case of we're used to the characters.
There's legitimate. It's basically legitimate domestic violence.
Yeah, we already sort of established characters are like no one's free from getting their absolute shit kicked in viciously. We already established that, but now you've turned it into okay. This is the case of it's gone from like basically fists are basically not like basically it's a case of doesn't man, woman, what, child doesn't matter. Fists are equal opportunity okay, you're focusing a bit too much on the lesbian couple and women a bit.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, again, equal rights and equal lefts and all that. But
all right, and then for the final one to talk about on Netflix, you've got Terminator Zero. Now.
See, again, we get this constant theme of when you actually give it to the Japanese who give a shit about what they're working with, you get good product.
I'm a Terminator fan, and I've enjoyed this. The animation is good. It's a good story. The only sort of thing that I really sort of had an issue with is where at one point the main character goes toe-to-toe with the Terminator, takes some real whacks from it, but is able to walk away. And I just had an issue with that for some reason.
I really enjoyed this too.
Yeah.
What I didn't like was the Japanese had to put their own AI in it. It wasn't just Skynet. It was this other thing too. I forget the AI's name.
Is it Koriko or something like that? I can't.
Yeah,
remember.
it's like it was like a triad. It was like a triad.
Yeah, but I think they may have had to have done that for licensing reasons. Who knows?
It could be.
Yeah, I give them a pass on that. It's just like it's like Skynet being a registered thing, TM. Like again, they may have.
Fair enough. And in fairness, I actually did not watch the last couple episodes. I think I fell asleep, and then I was and never got back to it.
Right. So then we now get onto the Amazon Prime stuff, and this is where I'm going to have a good little chuckle because this gives us a little more to talk about. The Boys season 4.
I stopped watching.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think a lot of other people did as well, judging by the scores and what I've read, because the Homelander is basically implied to be a satire of Trump, whatever. Then you've got Huey's meeting of his idol superhero who then rapes him. But because Huey's a white bloke, it's played up for laughs.
Yep.
And then you've got the showrunner's comments after the show was accused of going woke by saying, "No problem, go watch something else." And
everyone went, "Okay."
Yeah, and everyone went, "Utter." And which is why this season is voted the lowest on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, this is subject to opinion given Rotten Tomatoes history. But I enjoyed the first couple of seasons. I thought season 3 was a bit weak. And then I haven't bothered with season 4 because
the thing is they're kind of this is the other problem that a lot of Hollywood stuff has is they've kind of now or more or less exhausted the source material.
Yep.
Having read the original comics when they came out, they're trying to oh, this is popular. We have to make this zombie this along for as long as we can.
Yeah.
To get like 7 or 8 seasons out of it. Whereas no, you could have told the entire story in probably 4 or 5, 4 at most, right?
I had hoped that Seth Rogen would have learned his lesson after butchering Preacher.
Oh God!
Right? Because I love Garth Ennis. Like I have the entire Garth Ennis run of comic graphic novels.
I've met him.
Really? I have some signed. I have some stuff signed by him. I
met him. I met him at a convention years ago. The first issue of Constantine.
He is a little bit more on the woke end of the spectrum, but at the same time,
but I think he learned. I think he learned his lesson after he got burned and pushed out of Castlevania, right? Basically, they went, oh, you've got a popular thing. We're now going to destroy you and take your shit, which is why you really haven't heard anything from him lately.
Yeah.
But also, I think with Ennis, he kept his own personal stuff generally out of his work.
Yeah. So with The Boys, like the first couple seasons, despite the fact, I didn't like some of the changes, like why make Stormfront a woman, I was just like, yeah, right. Some of the choices weren't making sense. And then I did watch season 3, and then that little side series came out. I forget what it was, like the high school.
I didn't go near that.
I watched like 2 episodes. And then I realized like they were relying, like, don't get me wrong, a little bit of shock value, great. But they're relying on it now.
Yeah.
Exploding penises and fucking.
Yeah. I don't like shit.
And the thing is that women, and when you do that, people get very numb to it very quickly.
Yeah. And they start seeing it for what it's worth, right? It's just like, aha, look at this, it's like a train wreck. And then you start realizing, well, it is a train wreck and I don't want to keep watching this.
Yeah.
And then it starts looking like the car crash scene from the Blues Brothers. Like, oh, okay, now it's just getting silly.
Yeah.
All right. And then we've got
also with,
have not seen this.
Right, it gained notoriety because obviously it's the first one to be done without Kevin Conroy as Batman, may he rest in peace. But it was also famous because they gender swapped the Penguin, making his Oswalder Cobblepot, I believe, was the name they went with.
Yeah, and everyone just sort of went meh.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Well, and the critics all love it. Everyone else is just like meh.
You can get away with that sort of thing in like the Spider-Verse where they did that with Dr. Octavius or whatever, Octavia, that kind of thing, because it's an alternate universe. Okay, makes sense. All right, I can buy that. But like, if this is supposed to be presented as the main continuity, then I'm like, well, hold on. I'm not sure. I haven't seen this, so I don't know.
So also the one where they basically race swapped Harley Quinn when Harley Quinn didn't exist without Joker.
I can't remember. It was one of those things.
They made it. They basically made her. They basically made Harley a chubby Latina.
Right.
Now, wasn't she half Chinese or something?
Yeah, she was just. I've seen the clips. And I'm like, okay, she just looks generically brown to me.
Yeah. Right, and
then
bolts
on tits.
Yeah, and then everyone's favorite, the Rings of Power.
The Rings of fan fiction.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge. I did watch the first season. I had planned to. Actually
we need to talk about why. Why do you hate yourself?
Well, I think it's because maybe I have. I'm a glutton for punishment for one thing. I am. This is why I'm in the kink scene. I wasn't happy with most of the writing, but I really did like a lot of the acting.
But the thing is, when you have like the likes of Cate Blanchett, etc., I'm like, you're going to get fantastic acting out of it.
Yeah,
because they're genuinely good actors and they can work. They can work with the gruel they've been given. But no, the writing was just.
Yeah, there's that famous line at the start of the first season. Do you know why a stone sinks and a ship does not? It's like, because it's a fucking stone.
Yes, because physics.
Yeah,
that sounds like they used ChatGPT to try to make something profound.
Well, you'd think, but then obviously
that just smacks. That just smacked of like, I am being all philosophical and highbrow, while not even knowing what the word highbrow means.
Yeah, and then you've got obviously the lady that plays Galadriel being the worst thing about the series, especially the bit when she goes, what was it? Where he says to her, you need to retire or something. She goes, you have not seen what I have seen. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, again, it's just turning Galadriel into a girl boss, and everyone
she never was.
I will agree
exactly.
With that. I liked the Hobbits though. I liked the way they were
the Hobbits.
Whatever the fuck they're called. I don't even care.
Yeah.
And I did like the the kind of reveal of the character as Gandalf, right?
But
I did like that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a bit huge. I wasn't very invested in the Galadriel.
No, and then you've got obviously the forging of Mordor by the pumping of the river into the volcano to set it off, and everyone's just going, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then last one to talk about for Amazon is one of their quote unquote original movies they release, and I use that term loosely here. Roadhouse.
No.
I
love the original. I loved the Patrick Swayze Roadhouse.
I love the original as well.
Yeah, but it was a product movie time, and modern Roadhouse is just like, this makes no sense.
As soon as I saw this, I'm like, no, and not him. Especially and not the other guy, fucking the UFC guy there. No, no.
It was a bizarre choice, and I'd imagine, given recent events, that's probably going to be the last bit of acting work he'll get for a while.
Something about him bothers me. Like, I don't know what it is. Like when he was in Spider-Man, fucking what was that? One where they're in Europe, Far From Home. Right, it's just something about the way he acts, the way he carries himself. Just
Jake Gyllenhaal,
it just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, he has a creepy air to him.
Yeah, I don't know how else to explain it.
I think it's Jake Gyllenhaal or someone else, but I know there is one actor who's on the spectrum, hence his oddities.
Yeah.
But no, again, a lot of the professional ones are. I mean, Anthony Hopkins is on the spectrum.
Yeah,
and he's said actors on the spectrum actually, if they're high functioning, do really well. What's his face? Superman.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, Henry Cavill. He's clearly he's clearly blue hat gang.
Yeah, but with this one, obviously, it's updated to modern times. The owner of the Roadhouse is now a black woman. There's no obviously gratuitous nudity in it. The main bad guy doesn't even die at the end, and obviously Gyllenhaal is a UFC fighter and not just a legendary bodyguard. Sorry, bouncer. It's like, yeah, come on, this is crap. So, as you can see, the ratings speak for themselves on this one. All right, and now to have a laugh with some Disney Plus stuff. And, okay, and this is the first one. Echo.
So here's the funny thing is I actually I know ASL, both of my parents are deaf. I actually have a really strong connection to the deaf community, right? They were very excited about this show until it came out.
A lot of people were
because
we're getting seen and represented. I
remember watching Hawkeye. I did watch Hawkeye. And I was noticing that there's some problems with how this character's deafness is being presented. There's some problems with it, It was hard for me to put my finger on exactly.
Well, they changed her powers, didn't they? Because even in the comics, she was called Echo because she could imitate the powers or abilities of those she was fighting, and that doesn't happen here, does it?
I'm not sure because I haven't saw this. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch this one. I didn't watch this one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I love the fact that they brought Benicio del Toro. Is it Benicio? No, that's not Benicio.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio. That's the one.
Yeah.
I think he's a great actor.
He is a great actor.
I think he's an amazing actor. I think he did an awesome job in the Netflix Daredevil series.
Oh, he was fantastic.
So I was so happy to see him brought into this version of the MCU. But I was left somewhat disappointed.
Yeah.
By Hawkeye.
They squandered him in this.
Yeah, and it's a real shame. I mean, because obviously there was that, and the bit of the behind the scenes gossip for the series, that's the Echo series, is that when she turned up for her fittings, people noticed she was something like 20 pounds heavier. And it's like, what are we supposed to do now?
Get on treadmill, chubby.
Yeah. And you've got the infamously famous line, time for a queen pin or something stupid like that. But what made this all the more funny was obviously when talking about modern Marvel, a lot of the YouTubers use the phrase MCU because it's now dominated by female characters that aren't very good. And during an interview, the actress Akilah Cox accidentally started to say MCU instead of MCU.
And thus it became a thing in Disney marketing. And just like, God damn it.
Yeah. So
I think that there's some great female characters in Marvel. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, right.
Do they deserve their own series or movies because of how obscure they are, though? No. Instead, focus on writing them well, and then see if they emerge as their own series at that point. Because we've seen this with the main MCU. What was that? I had it in, I was thinking about it earlier. They made a couple of movies, like Guardians of the Galaxy is a good example. Guardians of the Galaxy, I was a big Marvel kid. I loved Marvel comics. I collected them. Guardians of the Galaxy was not very interesting to me at all in that regard, you know. But when the movies came out, I was like, God, these are awesome. And now they've created this kind of like, they're so connected to the main MCU now that you can't separate it, right? But they did that through good writing, through good directing, and James Gunn did a good job on those movies.
Yeah, he did.
And picking the right people to the roles as well.
What's that? Sorry.
And picking the right people for the roles
Absolutely.
as well, who actually roles.
Absolutely.
And weren't just playing themselves.
Well, look at the second film, making Kurt Russell the bad guy. That was a masterstroke, especially when he turned around and he revealed just so casually that he killed Star-Lord's mum. Yeah.
Well, Chris Pratt, Bradley Cooper, even Vin Diesel, even though you don't really know it's Vin Diesel, let's be honest. Right? And he says one line. Yeah, he was just having fun with it, right? And then Zoe Saldana, she's a great actress. So like fucking that those movies were amazing, But the thing is the comics were
what's her name that plays that's was
originally Amelia Pond,
Karen Gillan.
Karen Gillan. She's good too. She's a good actress as well. Mind you, the UK brings out really talented actors in general, because I think they focus more on their talent out there than out here. They focus. Well, again,
to be an actor in the UK, you have to go through being a stage actor first.
Yeah,
right? There's a different pathway. Whereas Hollywood was always just you have the look and you can kind of act. Yeah, you'll do.
Oh, you got some big tits. Yeah. Okay, hey,
there's been several UK actors who've gotten like big time, like really big time actors, and overall it's a case of you have to do your time in the equivalent of the mines of doing Shakespeare and stage acting to even be considered for a bit role in a TV series, let alone a movie.
And I think people in America would actually like if they knew how many of their favorite actors were British, they would like be like, what? Like you got to look at Hugh Laurie. He's on House.
House is fantastic.
House is a fantastic show. The Rick on The Walking Dead. His name escapes me right now. He's British.
Andrew
something or other.
Yeah.
But and I've watched interviews thinking like Tom Hardy. I'm like, oh wait,
Yep.
Oh, it's quite the same as for Australia. There's quite a few actors who are Australian that people don't realise because they can turn the accent down. But in Australia, it's a similar thing of you kind of have to do your time doing stage play stuff.
Yeah.
Then you can get into maybe doing TV stuff, usually like TV soaps and whatnot, or being bit characters in a TV show.
Or to be honest, we just steal them from New Zealand.
All right. And then we've got X-Men 97.
Yeah.
Which obviously brought back, I'm guessing, because Disney just couldn't make anything good.
They nerfed Rogue's ass. Everyone just went, hang on, we've seen the nerf ass, the Rogue ass nerf.
Yeah.
We're out. Yeah.
I wouldn't have given two shits about Rogue's ass, honestly. Like, but it's the fucking lines.
Yeah.
But
that was the initial visual sign, right? It's like the M&M bowls, the bowl of M&Ms that has the brown ones in it.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, someone's not read the fucking writer. We know there's other problems.
Yeah. But the series did gain its issues because, first of all, they made Morph non-binary.
Oh, that and the producer was a sexual predator.
Yeah, which I'm about to get to. Bo DeMaio, the show's head writer, was removed for, and I quote, egregious misconduct. But he claimed it was over showing support for gay pride.
No, it was because you were grooming boys via your OnlyFans.
Which, funny
enough,
about
to say he's an OnlyFan thought. So
which was funny because he then posted a video explaining his actions, but it was on OnlyFans. So the only way you could see it was if you subscribed to his OnlyFans,
so he could groom you. But that was what was implied in that he'd been grooming underage boys via OnlyFans.
Okay, so oh god, I'm gonna out myself here. I was managing some OnlyFans people for a little while, and like the age check thing in there is pretty decent. Like there's ways, obviously, if you're clever enough, you can get around it, right? But like they do very a lot of age checking. right?
Hang on, for the talent or for the actual members?
For the talent. Oh, you're right. For the talent. I wasn't clicking in on that part.
No, he was grooming the members, and the members are just the "Are you 18" box.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. All right.
And also, there was talk of he was just generally like a bit too like over the top in his like displays of being gay to people on the staff and working on things and like, okay, yes, we get you're gay. I'm very straight. Can you just back it up, please?
I am a full-time university student, and I experience quite a bit of that in school because they're very, like I get out and proud. I don't have a problem with. Out and annoying as fuck.
Yeah, there's something else.
And there seems to be like, within the gay community, there seems to be also this subset of turn the straight guy kink, right? There's a nasty undercurrent of that I've seen these days as well.
It's not that common, but I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've definitely seen it.
This conversation kind of leads into the next one, which is of course Agatha all along.
I couldn't get past the first.
Yeah. So, gone through multiple name changes before it arrived. Essentially, been labelled as fiction for wine mums, featuring
it's lesbian wine mum fiction.
Yeah, and it was made all the more amusing because you've got that Variety reporter that was talking to the actresses on the red carpet, if you can call it that, and he spoke to Aubrey Plaza. And he said he posed a question to her. So, is this series super gay? Agree. So it's already a leading question, and Aubrey Plaza's like, "Well, it better be."
That was a deliberate marketing. Disney marketing told them to do that. I guarantee that.
Yeah.
See, I love Aubrey Plaza.
So do I.
I think she's a great actress. I think she's fucking hilarious, and I think she's just like suitably grim.
Yeah,
that it grounds her. I just want to draw everybody's attention to one thing on the screen here. Did anybody notice the spelling error in the middle? There's a spelling error on. It says Harn Kiss of Horror, Agatha all along.
No, I can't
unsee it. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Good job, Disney. Good job. This is on Rotten Tomatoes, or is this Disney's fault? Okay.
With that series, it was pretty quickly forgotten after all the fuss about it, which made me chuckle. But then, surprisingly, a decent product came out of Disney Plus, and that was Shogun.
I have heard about this, and I kind of want to watch this.
I thought you were going to mention Bluey.
I want to see
Shogun. So, great series, very well made, very cool cast of actors. Won multiple awards, which quite rightly so. But the folks in the Western media had to find a reason to have a pop at it.
Of course.
And then they first complained that there were no black people in the show.
Oh my god!
Even though it was set in feudal Japan.
Oh, but what about Yasuke?
And I wish you'd been here for the previous stream on that one. I really do.
Oh no.
And then there were also complaints that the main white character failed upwards. I mean, did you?
Okay. Here's the reason this was successful. One, it was not commissioned and produced by Disney. It was just, it was one of those ones that flew under the radar. It was basically Disney bought it to put it on Disney Plus, but Disney didn't make it, right? And you see this also with these projects that sort of fly under the radar.
Yeah.
They, because the upper crowd like ignore it. It actually, gets to get made properly. But again, this is what we see with a lot of series is if they get popular, then the wokies come in and go, "Oh, we're taking that over. That's ours now."
Yeah.
And then it goes woke and it's crap, right? So I'll be genuinely curious to see what happens to that series now it got popular. But yeah, I think the main thing that saved it, I'll have to look it up, but Disney didn't commission it. It's not like an official Disney property. It was basically made for Disney Plus, but it wasn't directly controlled by Disney, which is why it was actually good.
Right, and to finish off streaming, we've got two shows from Paramount talking about for opposite ends of the spectrum, and the first one is Halo Season 2. Now, I watched. I think I managed to get through 3 episodes of the first series before I turned it off. And the main thing, of course, that wound me up was the Master Chief taking his helmet off at the end of the first episode, which, of course, for those who played the games know, he never did. And then you had Pablo Schreiber, who played Master Chief, coming out and accusing people of not liking the show because of that. It's like, well, yeah, correct. And then you got the end of the series where he apparently dies, and then Cortana uses his body like a meat puppet. It got to the second series, and that and many other things were retconned. But it was also noticeable that the budget had been cut because of lots of dark scenes, so you couldn't see what was going on. Terrible CGI, and both the original showrunners left. And then at the end of the series, the Flood were introduced, but were portrayed as human-like monsters.
They were basically just alien zombies.
Yeah. So the
technically
series
speaking, those infected by the Flood were turned into what you call zombies, but they were horribly mutated.
Yeah.
But not your typical Hollywood fucking zombie.
Yeah. So that was shit canned.
I never got into Halo the game series. I'm somewhat familiar with the lore and whatnot, right? But I came into that series a little bit more fresh-minded. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't, I didn't have that prior existing attachment to the games. I couldn't get past the second episode of the first season. Like I was like, this is boring.
I mean, I'll give them
kind of sucks.
I'll give them a little bit of credit because I think they got Cortana right to begin with, but then they changed even how she looked, and I just thought, yeah, no, I'm done. So that was a big disappointment for me. Yeah. But even when I spoke to people who had played the game but not seen the series, when I said, "Oh, Master Chief takes his helmet off," I just got a filthy look. So,
yeah.
Right. Versus when they did the Dread movie and they asked, "Is he going to take his helmet off?" And
yep.
He goes, "No, he never takes his helmet off." Like, yep, okay, you understand the character, good.
All right.
Even like they did, I think it was in Halo 2, towards the end of Halo 2, they did give a bit of a little bit of a bait towards players who years later, once it came out on PC, they're basically gone, oh, he takes his helmet off. They managed to break the camera, move it to a position where they can see him do it. It's like, it's just another helmet underneath. And people go, what's the fucking budget you've got? Haha.
Yeah.
We knew you lot would try something like this eventually. It's just so yeah, it was a bit of a bait tease, and congratulations for finding that.
Nice.
All right, and then you've got Landman, which I have been watching.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, this is made by Taylor Sheridan, who's obviously behind Yellowstone. This is fantastic. The dialogue in particular is razor sharp. Essentially set oil drillers,
soil fields. Yeah.
There are some wonderful moments in it. I can't play any of them on stream because I'll get copyright struck. But the best one for anyone to look up is the scene where he takes this young idealistic lawyer out to the small wind farm they've got and explains the bullshit behind them. And in fact, they're not clean energy as what people are led to believe they are.
And they don't even pay for themselves. Oh, yeah. Again, anyone who's worked resource sector, I'm like, yep. Having been out and worked in resource sector, I'm like, yep, this is resource sector.
Yeah.
This is this pretty much explains what life on any resource sector is like, whether it be mining, oil drilling, etc.
So this one is not yet finished, the first series, but it is really, really good. So I would suggest to anyone who's not seen it and has Paramount Plus to give it a look, because Billy Bob Thornton, what's that?
Sorry, my phone rang.
So I would suggest anyone to see it because it is really, really good. All right. And then we've got 2 shows from regular TV to talk about before we jump into the movies of this year. And again, opposite ends of the spectrum for reasons we're about to get into. But the first one is The Penguin.
I've heard good things about this, but I haven't seen it.
I've heard good things with a caveat going, they're real. Everyone's like, can see what they're about to do. They're about to do a bait and switch. Right?
I really hope not, because
everyone's like, you're really implying that you'll go and bait and switch and then make the Penguin into a woman.
I really hope that doesn't happen because
everyone does, but they're like, no, we've seen this.
This is the one based on the one from the more recent, like
from the
Robert
Pattinson
movie, right?
Batman, yeah.
How would they? I don't even. Okay, you know what? I don't even want to know.
One of his love interests is like basically everyone's just like, no, we see what you're doing. You're not slick.
Right, and then to the other end for reasons which we'll discuss. True Detective, the latest series.
I never got into it.
Again, no, True Detective Series 1 was good.
Jodie Foster.
Yeah, Jodie Foster.
Oh fuck.
But it was notorious for some very woke dialogue. Also, the original showrunner was removed from the show, and he obviously didn't take too kindly to it because all the negative reviews that the series was getting, he was sharing them on his Instagram until he stopped.
He's like, well, it sucks to be you.
Yeah. It's a good way of going, fuck you. So fair play to him for that. But yeah, a lot of this there's some very anti-white dialogue spoken by one of the main characters and some supernatural elements which were not present in previous seasons. So it didn't go down well. All right. And then to get on to the movies of this year, and we'll start with one that came out at the arse end of last year, and reasons why we're discussing this will become clear soon. Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
I liked it because it was a character drama. Like it wasn't like Godzilla wasn't a character really. It was just a force.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved that.
And that's the whole point with kaiju movies. Is like, they're not supposed to be characters. They're supposed to be a force of nature.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
And
so
but the thing is, you had characters in this that you could relate to, that were likable. And Godzilla himself, he's not super quick like he is in the American movies. He's slow, he lumbers along. And the atomic breath scene when he lets fly in the city, Jesus Christ, it's a hell of a moment.
It really shows like the human effect that something like this has too, and that's what I really tried well with.
The build up to it, where his scales just pop out one at a time. I saw this in the cinema, and it was just like a vroom, vroom, vroom as they're building up. Yeah. And then when he lets fly and the atomic blast happens, there's a lovely artistic touch to as the main character sort of screaming at the explosion. Black rain comes down, and I thought, I like that. That is a great moment. And obviously, a budget of 15 million US. It took 116 million at the box office, and was out at a time when people weren't going to the cinemas very much. And it was only supposed to be in cinemas. Yeah, it was supposed to be in cinemas for a week. But
and very, very few cinemas as that as well.
But because people will come in droves to see it, they had to keep it in the cinemas because it was actually giving the business money. It dethroned Shin Godzilla as the highest grossing Japanese Godzilla movie. But of course, Western journalists had to shit on it because they do. And they claimed the budget was low because of harsh working conditions, which were strongly denied by the director.
I watched a making of little featurette, and you could see how passionate the actors were about wanting to make it work.
But of course, the main reason
the director himself threw himself like into several hours of working on the VFX to basically give everyone else a break.
But of course, the main reason, one of the reasons we're talking about it, is because it actually won the Oscar for best visual effects. I think one of the few times recently that people are given a toss about the Oscars, and made Godzilla officially an Oscar-winning franchise. And the second reason it's mentioned is because Godzilla X Kong followed quickly. Obviously, as you can see, rated very differently by the critics.
Yeah.
But because of -1 success, X Kong was a big success. 150 million budget, but it took 571. And for those who have seen the two movies, the director of X Kong put in a little tribute shot to -1 where Godzilla steps out of the Colosseum where he's sleeping and the ground bursts up underneath his feet like it does when he attacks a city in -1. I took my son to see this. He enjoyed it, and it was okay for me. But there are some funny things to spot in it. Only 2 white blokes, main characters. One's an arsehole that gets killed quite quickly. The other one's an absolute man-child. You've got the smart female character who the script points out that she's got PhDs. Then you've got the Lost Tribe. The leader's a woman. And then you've got the young Lost Tribe girl who turns out is the key to uniting the monsters. It's like, yeah, all right, I get it.
He's a plot device puppy.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the 2014 Godzilla that started this was kind of a novelty. It was okay, but the reality is that I think that they're not making these movies for the original fans. They're making them for the kids.
Oh no.
You know, and
that's all well and good, but still, at least do something decent even if it's a kid.
Well, make it a love letter to the original fans. You can make it for kids, but like, just come on, guys.
But then the Hollywood does it, and then again you get Godzilla -1. Japan just like step aside. Let us show you how it's done properly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like we slap dicker on table, thump.
Yeah, right? It's funny you should mention the first Godzilla, the American series, because Garth Edwards was asked about -1, and he said he felt a little jealous. And
good scrub.
And I remember sitting there thinking, well, yeah, because Godzilla was only in your movie for 9 fucking minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand that.
Yeah, well, the original, I say the original, the 2014 Godzilla, that was more character driven. You know,
yeah, it was.
It was much more character driven, and the characters had a lot more stakes.
Yeah,
in that movie than this one. This one, the 2 main characters were Godzilla and fucking Kong. That's it.
But also with the 2014 one, you had some good actors in there, like Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen, who is my waifu.
Bryan Cranston.
Yes, him as well.
Yeah.
But then on to the next release, and this is a funny one. Argyle.
I actually really liked that one. It was Argyle. No, I'm thinking of something else. No, Argyle was a bait and switch. No.
Yeah.
And holy shit, did they bait and switch hard, and everyone hated that.
Yeah. Henry Cavill advertised heavily as being, and it was barely in the movie. It was supposed to be a first of a franchise that released 3 movies in the shared universe with the Kingsman. But I can't see that happening because on a 200 million budget, it took 96 million.
Oof. No, I'm thinking of The Gentleman, which was really good. But,
The Gentleman was fantastic. And then on to this is a funny one. One of the most notorious releases of the year, Madam Web.
There was so much potential.
Even then,
and they squandered it.
Like it was no potential. None.
No, from the original, like from
the comic
web story. Yes, there was
from
so
the
much
comic.
potential,
Yeah, but
they couldn't have done such cool things.
Yeah,
but this ain't it. This ain't even it by a mile.
Yeah,
like and the casting, you're getting the fucking chick from 50 Shades of Grey. Come on.
Yep.
Yeah, it was tragically funny. I mean, you've got Dakota Johnson having fired her management team when she realised what shit she was in. You've got Sydney Sweeney openly mocking the film on Saturday Night Live.
Oh my God.
I mean, where's my details? Yeah, here we go. 80 million budget. It took 100 million, but obviously it's gone down in notoriety for somehow how bad it was. But it was picked up on that the writers, 2 of the writers of the film, Matt Samaza and Burke Sharpless, were the writing duo who were also behind Dracula Untold, The Last Witch Hunter, Gods of Egypt, and Morbius. All of which were
why would you look at that resume and go, that's a good thing?
Well, yeah, all of those movies were box office bombs, and it's losing estimated around about 200 million for the studio. And the question was asked, how the fuck do they keep getting work?
I feel like a lot of these studios purposely make things that they know are going to bomb for the tax break. Like I I've got this.
It's
theory.
money. No, it's got beyond tax break stuff. This has got to be money laundering.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, something like that, right?
It
But
has
like
to be, because why the fuck did these guys keep getting jobs when they're not even have one modicum of success? They've had no success.
Yeah,
completely broke the lore.
Yeah,
they completely broke the lore about the like all the spider totems and stuff like that. They had a perfect opportunity to like attach it even to Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Perfect opportunity, and her powers made no fucking sense. Okay, she can tell the future. Okay, we'll see shades of what might happen. Yeah, that's cool. I can get behind that. How the fuck did she? This whole like quantum fucking entanglement, fucking her existing in 3 different spots at the same goddamn time.
Yeah,
fuck you.
But it was also, as Wombat's pointed out, a bait and switch in this one as well, because you had a lot of the footage of the 3 quote unquote Spider Women never materialized. Yeah. In particular, a scene of Sydney Sweeney's Spider-Woman hanging upside down, which she talked about with such enthusiasm in the behind the scenes of wanting to do, and they never even showed it in the final film.
Yeah.
Not to mention they did her dirty by crushing her tits down.
The funny thing is, I'm glad you said that and not any of the blokes here, because we'd also be labelled perverts.
Oh, I'll freely say that.
Yes, I'll agree with
no,
it.
They really
they
did her dirty.
They've done that with Dallas Howard's ass as well in They've done that in the promo stuff for the Jurassic Park films, which is because, like, you see photos of her in real life. She's got a dump truck. In the movie stuff, they photoshopped out the dump truck.
All right. And then on to one which just came and went, and that was Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. The film was dedicated to the late Ivan Reitman, and as reflected in his views, Carl has quite rightly said it was okay, but it also was a demonstration of how quick the sort of nostalgia bait can not last with some of these films, because 100 million budget, it took 202 million and vanished without a trace. I mean, I was interested in this originally, but then I saw like the likes of Patton Oswalt and Camille Angiolini win. I thought, no, fuck off. I can't stand either.
Well, the general consensus for this is it didn't know what it wanted to do, right? There was too many threads, too many characters. It should have been, again, the original guys aren't getting any younger. It should have been focusing more on, going, okay, you've got these kids now doing this stuff, and more sort of torch handling.
Yeah.
Again, what bugs me is that they could have taken the premises, ignoring, the Ghostbusters, which shall not be named. Right. There's only a trilogy. You can take some premises from the original Ghostbusters going, okay, gods are a thing. You can get their attention with diesel punk turn of the century technology. You imprisoned one of them in Afterlife. Do you not think that was going to have ramifications where the rest of them are going, wait, the mortals can jail us now?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. Right? Again, you're irritating supernatural deities. This was going to have ramifications. And you could have used that as just sort of handing the torch over to the kids and getting them to be the next Ghostbusters sort of thing. But this one, it just rambled and it had too many threads, and just
I think I will agree with you on that. I also want to add the whole thing about like the change, like what they're trying to introduce to the lore with this like natural magic powers that fucking the Flame Master, whatever the fuck it was, right? Yeah. That didn't fit to me. That didn't seem like it fit into what we know of Ghostbusters.
No, Ghostbusters is, again, it's science versus essentially paranormal sort of thing.
Exactly.
Right? Again, use the science stuff to not just like, we're going to introduce, and to me it smacks of lazy writing. Shit, how do we resolve this thing? Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I actually don't have any hate for Camille Mangiani myself, but at the same time, like fucking, I think that whole like subplot of him being a magic wizard or fucking djinn or whatever the fuck it was, that didn't fit.
Hang on. But you looking at 2 of what that, because you did have a sort of a magical element in 2. Don't forget, but you can sort of my always thing is you could throw back to the first one and have the buddy, the environmental guy who kicked off the shit. this man has no dick. Could have just had like he's literally been touched by a god because he got covered in marshmallow in the first one, right? And you could have just had him all like burned and disfigured, going, "Oh no, I've been touched by a god. Hey, look, I've basically." And you could have had Vakeman, who's sold off the technology sort of thing without the others knowing, built a big paranormal, PKE battery. Hey, I'm going to, explains why New York's been so quiet because he's had a big PKE battery just sucking up all the energy. And hey, I'm going to make myself into a god, right?
Yeah. I've got a buddy.
That go horribly wrong.
One of the things that I liked that they did in that movie, was the kind of the introduction of like the Ghostbusters core.
Yeah.
Right. I like that because that's a real world thing too, right? I got a buddy who's just a hardcore Ghostbusters fan. He's got his own fucking proton pack. He goes out to meetings and and he's part of the Ghostbusters core of British Columbia here in Canada. Right. And I think that was really clever. I think that was cool as hell. And because it also expands it a little, but like, don't fuck with the lore.
Yeah, well, the thing is, again, you could have that thing of like, if you look at the first couple, it's like ramifications. And you could have like government agencies and the rest of it going, oh shit, gods are real. Oh shit, any idiot with enough selenium and a budget can get their attention.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Exactly.
Right. You could do all sorts with those implications.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
A lot of probability there.
Yeah.
Right, so moving on to a prequel, which I don't think anyone asked for, Furiosa, a Mad Max.
No one wanted this.
Yeah, no one wanted this. And what made me laugh was all the critics that were fawning over this couldn't believe its failure. 168.
Everyone just looks at it and goes, "Girl boss movie."
Yeah. 168 million budget. It took 173.8 million. And again, it was one that everyone just sort of shrugged their shoulders at.
Chris, if you actually see the clips, I find Chris Hemsworth was the best part of that movie.
Yep.
Because he got to chew the scenery. But yeah, I think everyone's just looked at it because it's girl boss fatigue. Everyone's just gone, it's a girl boss movie.
Yeah, there was also allegations of nepotism because Hemsworth's wife has two different roles in the film. It's like, okay.
Yeah, but even then, like Hemsworth acting as that was good, but I think everyone else has just looked at it and just gone, "Girl boss movie, meh."
No. I'm actually, I'm okay with movies that are about feminine empowerment. Absolutely, I have no problem with that.
Yeah,
actually, like Barbie, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying female-centered empowered movies are bad, but the thing is, everyone now has been so it's they're in the current year TM. They're usually bad. Right?
Yeah, well,
so just look at it, just go, man, I've got better things to do.
And that's my issue with it as well. It's oversaturated in terms of that, and it's not very well written. Like it's always like they're always super like girl boss in a very masculine sort of way.
Yeah,
like where there's nothing wrong with femininity, guys. Like we can have a feminine girl boss.
Yeah, but what they do is they write these women like they're men, and
that's the issue.
Yeah,
so it's it is what it is. I get it. Some women can fight, absolutely. Some can. Some are better than most men, but it's not as common.
No.
Yeah, the idea is they don't fight like men.
No.
Yeah.
Right, and
they
then
tend to be much more stealthy, like fast, like use the whole thing as like I'm smaller and lighter, thusly I can move faster than him and strike quicker than him, but I have to get in and out quicker because he's got the reach and power. Should he get his hands on me, I'm screwed.
Oh, and they go for the wounds a lot quicker.
Yeah. So you go for the point, you're going to bring him down quicker so you can end it quicker. Not this whole. I'm basically 5 foot nothing go up against a 6 foot 300 pound wall of muscle man. I could just punch him in the face and win. No.
Right, and then you've got Horizon. Now I'm all for westerns, but the problem is with Costner movies, they tend to be really long. And
again,
unfortunately, I'm just not in the frame of mind that unless I'm really interested in the film, I'm not going to go to the cinema for what turns out to be 3.5, 4 hours because of the adverts.
Well, that and just the whole, I get it. Like, the US West is pretty and all bored now, right? You can only look at, vistas of mesas for so long before it's like, okay, get it. It looks kind of samey now.
Yeah. But the thing
3
is,
hours. Wow.
yeah. But this is supposed to be the first of 4 films. What information I've got? The first 2 films had a budget of 100 million, 38 that Costner put in himself, and the first film has only just taken over $34 million. And because obviously it was seen by many to be overlong and part of the series, they just stayed away.
Yeah, it's people just going, yeah, okay, big, boring, meh.
Yeah.
They should have done this as a series.
Yeah.
It's Max. A lot of people said they like the general idea, but it was too much talking and it dragged too long. There were so many cases of that we could have done completely without that scene to bump things along a little bit quicker.
I know that Costner gets a bad rap a lot of the time. I actually quite like Costner.
I like him as well.
I thought The Postman was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. Right? It got so panned though by critics. Critics hated it, but I was this is a great movie. What are you talking about?
Listen, it's like, again, Costner just needs some people to politely just not necessarily say outright no, but just tighten it. Again, he's in the same vein as Scorsese is, I'm concerned. It's just like, okay, again, just you need to cut down the fluff a bit, but other than that, it's good.
For sure.
And then we've got Twisters, another legacy sequel, if you want to call it that.
That no one asked for.
I've been avoiding it. I did like the original, but I
like the original.
I like the original. 200 million budget, took 371 million. Totally different cast. But it did pay tribute to Bill Paxton because his son cameos as a motel guest trying to escape the tornado. And it was noted that the film was seen by many as devoid of any messaging, which the director confirmed by stating, and I quote, he wanted to make sure that we were never creating a message. And I thought, okay, respect to him for that.
That can backfire though.
Yeah.
Because again, if you got
what he was doing.
Without
I get the intention, and I'm like, you don't want to be seen as woke and rudder, but at the same time, if you shy away with it, you just end up with grey sludge.
Yeah, the issue is like you can you can avoid the more overt political messaging that's happening in a lot of media today very easily, but you still have to have some kind of like underlying intention, message, story, narrative, whatever. It has to be there. In my opinion, anyways,
Yeah. All right. And the next one, which was one of the few hits of the year, Deadpool and Wolverine.
It was fun.
It was
fun.
Yeah, the plot was just about there. I like the fact that they were in the, I suppose you call it the trash bin of the.
Yeah, again, I think a lot of people avoided it because of Loki and just that they've seen references to the TVA. And they're like, what the fuck is that? I have no idea what's going on, man.
Yeah.
It could have been better.
I think I agree. It could have been better, but it wasn't bad.
Well, a budget of
I'm not saying bad,
it took 1.38 billion. And was
but also, hang on. Here's the other thing I want to add with these numbers is it really wasn't competing against much.
No, it wasn't.
Right? You look at what was out. It's just like, oh yes, they've won the wrestling competition. Yeah, but you're beating up the retarded preschool kids. So you're gonna win.
but I did like the fact that the end credit sequence was a tribute to all the old Marvel films before Disney came along, with Green Day, Time of Your Life playing over it. The cameos were, I think, had some good purpose to them and some good jokes to go with them, because when Deadpool mentions Daredevil's death, Elektra goes, "Oh, don't worry about it." Obviously, she was married to him in real life. And then when Blade's getting ready to shoot a bazooka out the car roof, and Deadpool says, "Where'd you get that bazooka from?" And someone says, "The Punisher." And Deadpool says, "Weren't there 5 Punishers?" And Wesley Snipes goes, "There's only been one Blade. There's only ever going to be one Blade." To which Deadpool winks at the camera, and the joke became ironic because the Blade movie with Mahershala Ali has been shelved.
Right?
Well, they couldn't get the fucking script right.
And again, this is because Ryan Reynolds. Because the only reason this was good was because Ryan Reynolds was doing it prior to the Fox merger, and he had enough contractual protections that he could keep Disney off his neck. and he fought tooth and nail, and I'm sure if we were ever able to talk to him about it, there was probably a lot of points where it's just like, we're doing it my way or I walk, right? And contractually Disney's gone, well, shit, we can't do anything about that, right? But again, I think this was great despite Disney, not because of them. So
and they've already gone. So they've already jumped on Reynolds, gone. So Deadpool Wolverine 2. He's like, no.
Yeah, he's basically gone. I'm done. Bye bye. Right? Because he knows what Disney MCU is. He's like, no, I want no part of it. Like he did it under the Fox stuff, and he's like, yeah, he's looking at what's happening with Disney now. And again, people forget Ryan Reynolds is pretty much close to a billionaire at this point.
Yes,
I think he's agreed to cameos though. I think he has.
Yeah, he's agreed to cameos, but even then, I think he'll get to pick and choose. But he's got fuck you money, so he can be choosy.
Yeah. Since Endgame, the MCU's just been fucking like circling the drain. Let's be honest there. Absolutely circling the drain. There's been 2 good movies since then, and I would say and one of them was made by Sony. So like it just kind of is what it is there. But
it's not 2025 is not going to, because in the up and coming What If, they're introducing Ironheart, and she's already cringe.
Well, she was already in like as a character. She was in the second Black Panther movie.
But again, no, she was there as there as Black Panther's sister sort of thing. But no, they're bringing her in as Ironheart, and like everyone's like, ugh.
So I mean, so they're now catching up with where Marvel Comics was heading back in 2014, which is is what it is. This opinion might be controversial, but I don't give a shit. I think they need to do one more Deadpool movie, and that is Deadpool kills the MCU.
That would be funny.
Just make that the last movie.
Reynolds would be up for that, but he's also known
he won't be allowed to do that.
Do it right. Reynolds would be all over that like a fat kid on cake, and then some. You just know. The only reason he got his way as much as he did with Deadpool and Wolverine is because it already basically started the ball rolling before the Fox acquisition. So hence why when they're basically gone, can we get another one? He's really gone, no.
Well, I think
contract's done. I am not doing this anymore. Hugh Jackman's basically said, I won't do anything more unless it's with Ryan. And since Ryan's saying no, I'm saying no. That's it.
I think one of the big struggles right now with the MCUs is that they've got so many fucking moving parts, and they've got to, and they've also got to like change out old actors, bring in new ones, and that's fair. Okay, that's
well
fine.
And not to mention Jackman's physically, he's pushing 60. He's getting up there, and again, physically, he's just like he said this. He's like this, and Keanu Reeves has said the same thing for his acting stuff. Is the spirit is willing, the knees are not.
They're trying. Well, they're like now they're going to try to introduce the Fantastic Four. They got the Fantastic Four movie coming out. They're going to start introducing X-Men characters more often, and so that's so a big part of that is that I feel that they're going to start setting a lot of the plot points up for that in the coming movies, but I feel like they're going to bomb it. I feel like they're already fucking it up. Yeah.
All right. So the next one became famous for all the wrong reasons. It Ends With Us.
I've seen some good videos on this going, that is a very abusive relationship.
So a budget of 25 million, it took 351 million. Now it first of all became notorious because of Blake Lively's behavior during promotions, where she was seen as bright and cheerful despite the film's nature, and was also talking heavily about her hair care products and drinks products during the promotional periods. But then it later emerged there was severe conflicts between her and the co-star and director Justin Baldoni. After a week of reshoots and the second cut of the film were commissioned by Lively from the editor, who had worked on Deadpool and Wolverine, funny enough. That edit was used in the cinemas and even had dialogue in it that her husband had written for a scene on a balcony, which the director wasn't even told of. Baldoni himself was absent from press events and later hired a crisis management team because of what had gone on. And then this month, Lively filed a lawsuit against him and the producer and their studio for creating a quote-unquote hostile work environment and running a smear campaign against her.
Hollywood slap fight.
I don't know enough about the backstory on a lot of that stuff, so I'm going to refrain from opining.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at him for slap fight, and the thing is, whilst I've not said too much about it either, Lively's behaviour around it kind of makes me think she was the worst of the two. But I'm going to wait and see how this plays out.
I mean, we all know that Mr. Reynolds has some interesting taste in women, shall we say. My buddy catered the wedding between him and ScarJo that lasted all of what was less than a year marriage.
Oh, really?
So, and he had some stories for some of the drama from that wedding. So, yeah.
Dude, I wish you'd come on my streams more often because you drop the tidbits and I want to know more.
Again, it's just part and parcel of living where he does. When I used to live up there, it's just like you can't not avoid the film industry.
Yeah.
And everyone knows someone who lives and works in the film industry. So
yeah.
Pamela Anderson literally lives at the bottom of the hill from me.
Sweet.
So not as sweet as you think. It's honestly like other than every other area of her life, no problem. It's just that she's such a hardcore vegan, PETA fucking taint liquor.
Even Peter's just gone like, no, you're too hard for it.
I know. She's so like you run into her at the grocery store, and if you're in the meat section, she's just fucking staring you down, and it's just like, just fuck off, bitch.
Which is when you immediately you look her in the eye, you pull out a steak and start eating it raw. Assert dominance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now on to one which I know everyone's going to have a laugh at.
We move on. It's like one of our friends did the best things ever. Like this is years ago to a bunch of these dipshits before vegan was really a title thing. But there were a bunch of those like PETA type, like protesting about like KFC.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically explained it as like, walking around through the city, was getting peckish, it was till lunchtime, but he was going to keep wandering until he saw this lot doing their whole big, like KFC's evil, they murdered chickens. He's basically taken one look, walked in, walked out, stood in front of, picked up which one was the ringleader, held up the burger he bought, took a bite, and he's like, the suffering makes it taste extra good. Turned around, wandered off, started screeching, but they couldn't do anything because the cops were already hovering, basically saying to them, don't do shit or what have you.
Tastes like murder.
That's a running thing. But it's basically like, find the meatiest thing you can do, eat, take a massive bite, look in the eye and say, the suffering makes it taste extra good.
Nice.
Right, and then on to one which I'm sure we're all going to have a laugh about. Borderlands.
Was this movie made like 8 years ago? And like pre-COVID? Like,
well, it was made post-COVID because apparently Blanchett took the role to get out of her house, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Now, $120 million budget. It took $33 million. Multiple reshoots, rewrites. The casting was notoriously bad and sparked heavy conversation online, especially given the fact that the ages between the actresses and the characters they played was so big.
It's one thing being a bit older than the character you're playing. It's another thing when you're several decades older and could have been that character's mother.
Yeah, because was it
grandmother in one case?
Yeah,
because Mad Moxie was someone like, what was she in her 30s?
No, Moxie was like a lot older because again, age is like Moxie was in her 80s, but because of plastic surgery and cyberization, etc., she didn't look her age.
Yeah,
but she'd been around for like a long time. Right, because of what she references, like, oh yeah, I knew Handsome Jack back in the day. Right? Yeah, no, the whole point is Moxie is a hell of a lot older than she looks.
But that's the caveat. She's older than she looks.
So other than like Jamie Lee Curtis and Cate Blanchett and stuff like that, I can't take Kevin Hart seriously at all.
No, I can't.
No.
At all. Ever since his Die Hard movies, there's 3 of them now.
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry. I can't. It's like he's like purposely put himself into the fucking C list.
Yeah. Now the writing on this was obviously panned quite a bit, especially because Blanchett's first line in the film is "I'm too old for this shit." Craig Mazin, who wrote Chernobyl and was involved in this, took his name off the movie. The funny part was the other credited writer on the movie, besides I forget his fucking name now. The director is a guy called Joe Crombie, and it turned out to be a pseudonym for a writer who nobody knows who it is. Mazin has denied it was him on multiple times, but many journalists have still pointed the finger at him. And it was funny little aftertouch. Strauss Zelnick, who's the CEO of Take-Two Interactive, said that even though the film was disappointing, and I love the fact they say disappointing because it's his way of saying it's shit, it actually benefited our catalog sales in terms of the video game series. So, make of that what you will, I guess.
No, so like they made just like we made money out of it. Sucks for everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, a video game series that kind of went tits up with the last game.
Yep.
And no one really speaks of it much of anything these days.
No, which is a shame. And then you've got Alien Romulus.
Loved it. I loved it.
I was going to look at this, but then when they said they found the wreck of the Nostromo, I said bullshit, because that blew up in several nuclear explosions. And the fact they found the alien floating in space, I also call bullshit. But 80 million budget, it took 350.9 million. Seen by many to have some very good special effects. A couple of cheesy callbacks, especially the "Get away from her, you bitch" line, which
yeah, that was a bit much. I noticed that.
But
that
again,
was really bad.
Again,
there's another one too. Yeah, there's like two in there.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to knock anyone who liked it, because again, it's been done very well, especially the face huggers. They were seen to be made a serious threat again, which again, all right, fair play to him for that. But the bit that I took issue with, and so did a few of the others by the looks of it, was the CGI Ian Holm.
I fucking hated that part. That was the only part I hated. Yeah.
Now, whenever I see a dead actor being CGI'd to film, I really don't like it, and it took some flack for that. And the director did respond to the criticism by saying, and I quote, because he compared it to actors wearing prosthetics to play historical figures, like Gary Oldman playing Churchill, and he said, I don't think Churchill wanted that, and I think that's worse, because that is them pretending to be them. This is not me pretending it's Ian Holm. It's just the makeup that makes it look like him. And I thought, no, mate.
That's cope, dude. That's
They could have done that with practical effects, and I would have.
They did.
What's that?
There was a practical puppet that they put CGI overlay on the face.
Yeah, that was the issue. They could have just done it with practical effects, is what I'm saying.
A lot of people who've looked into it have basically gone, like, especially the guys Corridor crew who look at like VFX.
Yeah,
they've all come to the agreement in the case of it was an animatronic puppet there that was modeled to look like him, and it was meant to be like that because they wanted to say it's a broken android. It's not going to be moving normally, but they all came to the agreement in this case of they should have stopped the CGI level at the eyes and nose and kept the flapping, sort of juddering mouth while still speaking normally. That would have been much more easy to accept and less jarring than the full face being completely overlaid with CGI to smooth the mouth movements and eye movements and that, and just throwing you off when you look at it.
Yeah.
Or what they could have done is just had the non-animatronic puppet that looked like Ian Holm linked up to that computer, and just have him talking through the computer. Or they
could have just got the actor back who played Bishop, because he's still around.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Or they could have just had another completely different android, because the whole point of them was basically they were plants. A lot of the times either people were aware of them or they weren't, because they were meant to be planted on these places to be monitoring devices for the company, for Weyland-Yutani.
So it does connect. Everybody's seen it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not bothering to say it.
I did like that it connected with the more recent Ridley Scott movies. Even though I'm not a big fan of the more recent Ridley Scott movies. I don't like the change in the established lore that he's connecting it to religion and stuff like that. I'm just like, come on, man.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, on that point, if you can get a hold of this is a side note, but it's related to Aliens. I've actually running an Aliens RPG game. Yes, that does exist, and
I'm told it's very good.
Tabletop,
it's a lot of and it's a lot of fun, because I said last session we had one of the guys encounter a chest burster. He's a space trucker. He's never seen one before, so the first thing he does is stomp on it. He did not end well.
Nice.
Oh, brilliant.
So, but in the actual RPG books, they do a much better job explaining the Black Goo Ridley Scott stuff.
Really?
Right? They're basically it's like the engineers, but they'll get it. After the stream, I'll send you a PDF of the book.
Yeah,
but they in the RPG they explain it. It's perfectly believable. And you're like, right, that makes perfect sense. None of this other stuff from the movies where it's like, oh no, they invented the alien. No. In the book, in the RPG stuff, it explains it properly.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
All right.
Well, it explains it as a case of, yes, they came across this black goo stuff, but no matter what, anything contaminated by it will eventually turn into an alien.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what. That was the whole thing. And they were trying to basically usurp it and whatnot. And like, no, this stuff is of a level that no one can quite figure out. Even other alien species coming across it can't really figure it out. But it's so potent that no matter what, it makes aliens over and over and over again, no matter what it in contact with. And no matter who tries what with it, it always does the same thing over and over again.
All right. So on to the next one, which was another car crash of a film release. The Crow.
No.
The cringe.
The
cringe. This does not exist.
Yeah, as far as I will not even, besides this stream, I will not give it the time of day. And well, looks like a lot of other people thought that way as well. 50 million budget. It took 24. Terrible casting, and the story changed to invoke the possibility of sequel with the ending. Skarsgård himself claimed the movie wasn't a remake, but and I quote, second adaptation of the graphic novel. Fuck off.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lore of the Crow makes it so that you can have other crows. This could have been a sequel.
And that and then when they did the other two movies, right?
Yeah.
After there's Crow, City of Angels, and I think there was a third one. But the whole point is like, the Crow is not a person. It's a nemesis.
Yes.
Right? You know what nemesis means? Yeah, it's literally a traditional. Well, it is literally a traditional definition of a nemesis.
Yeah.
Right.
And even
a righteous infliction of retribution manifested by an appropriate agent.
Yeah.
In this case, it's not Bricktop, but yeah.
And the original movie was so iconic, though.
Yeah,
and in the original comics, there's literally a ongoing Crow character whose case of his connector point, like his quote unquote Crow, end up basically being destroyed.
Yeah.
So he cannot, even though he's completed his whole cycle, his revenge cycle and everything, he is permanently stuck.
Yeah.
His whole thing is seeking out anyone who's any new crows that like anyone else has been brought back by the Crow entity, and trying to help them bump them along to get to their end faster. While he can't directly intervene, he does guide them.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Now, Rupert Sanders, who directed the film, he said of those critics of the film, and I quote, "I think a lot of the people are very active online and not so much in life. Get out and do something, and has left time throwing stones."
Wank.
Yeah, fuck you.
Wank.
It's like, go and touch grass. Go and make good film.
And because I should
like characters who aren't insufferable twats.
Yeah, because I should point out he's behind the remake of whatever you call it, the live action Ghost in the Shell film and Snow White and the Huntsman. So make what you will of that. And of the original cast and crew, Alex Proyas and actress Rochelle Davis, who played Sarah, both refused to see the film out of respect for Brandon Lee.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
that's another big thing.
Yeah, Proyas even dismissed the film as a cynical cash grab, but later corrected himself.
Oh, that's right. I remember him.
Yeah, he later corrected himself, saying there wasn't any cash to grab.
I remember seeing him dunking on it on Twitter, and it was just the funniest thing.
Yeah, and Sophia Shinas, who played Shelley in the original, expressed a disappointment with the film, and Ernie Hudson expressed mixed feelings about it, which, again, fair play to him, because I love it when actors sort of take that kind of a stand on things. Because, again, as soon as I heard this was coming out, I went, no, fuck off, I'm not going anywhere near it.
Yeah.
All right.
Neither is anyone else.
No. And then there's this one, which I'll share for reasons about to discuss, Transformers 1. Now, I am a Transformers nerd, always have been. But as soon as I heard this was an origin story, I went, no, I'm not interested, because we've had enough origin stories of Transformers. We know how Megatron and Prime fell out on that. And
not really.
Well,
it's not really done like.
Yeah, I didn't
unlike
think
Batman and that. Unlike Batman and that, it hasn't been done over and over and over again. A lot of series tend to just basically hit the ground running and maybe address that later.
Yeah, but I just didn't think it was a story that needed to be told. And turns out other people agreed, because $147 million budget, it took $129.4 million. And the main reason it's been mentioned is because as a result of this failure and others, Hasbro have announced they will no longer be co-financing film adaptations of their products, leaving the studios to fund it completely themselves. And honestly, I don't blame them.
Well, the other thing is I don't think Hasbro has a lot of money to do that anymore.
No,
I think that's a good excuse for them. But yeah, it's like, again, it's funny because, again, if you look at the lore, one of the YouTubers I follow, Pointless Hub, has just done a thing on the Transformer stuff. And you look at the lore in G1, it's like, yeah, there was an episode where they go back in time and they see Megatron being born. I'm like, Megatron's always been evil.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Well, the only origin that I've really liked for like the whole Megatron Optimus thing was the case of they didn't know they didn't know each other at all.
Mm.
And as far as Megatron, like the original one in the animated series was literally a case of Megatron, being the evil dick he was, sweet talking his way into getting into a warehouse of like at a dock that was housing a shit ton of Energon. And using the naivety of the guy he met, Orion Pax, to weasel his way in. And then as soon as Pax basically realized what he was doing and tried to push back, he literally like practically murdered him on the spot and everybody else in the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
He created his own nemesis.
All right.
And Megatron never figured that out. Because Optimus is basically never going to tell him, because there's no point that that day was like M. Bison from that Street Fighter movie. It's just like, yes, that was the most horrendous day of Orion Pax's life, where he saw everyone around him destroyed, all his friends killed, whatnot. But for Megatron, it was a Tuesday. So that's why he's never addressed him about it. He's like, he doesn't know that he's the reason I exist, and I'm going to leave it that way because it doesn't matter.
All right, and on to one of the, well, I'm not sure how to describe this. Megalopolis.
Weird.
Yeah. Francis Coppola's, well, I don't know what you call it.
It's a wank fest.
Yeah. 130.
Daddy Senpai, please, I am as good as my father. Yeah, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's about. And I've watched trailers like.
Well, there's some explanation possibly here. 136 million budget, of which Coppola financed himself. It took only 13.9 million. The film's first trailer was pulled for using fabricated quotes, and there was allegations of Coppola smoking marijuana during production.
Oh no!
Oh no! Wow! Yeah. Like the dude's pushing 85. Like I'm genuinely like
and then the mass firing of the visual effects team, random changes.
That's a day ending in Y in the industry.
Random changes and scenes being shot nobody could make sense of. And then Coppola's conduct being questionable, apparently allegedly kissing and hugging female extras to get them in the mood during a sexual club scene.
85-year-old Italian guy is like, no, dude, no. You're not Berlusconi. You don't get to do
that. There were so many, what I could see anyway, so many fan reviews of this for those who'd actually gotten to see it. But I'll finish this with the one that made me laugh the most when I read it, where one guy wrote, "This film sucked mega cockless."
Yeah.
Right.
Like, dude, you're 85. Hang it up.
Yeah.
Just go,
And then there's...
It's like it's an auteur wank fest.
Yeah. Joker Folia 2. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, let's greenlight a film for a director who actively hates the fan base of the first one and is going to do everything to humiliate and shit on them. Wait, why isn't this film making money? Why? Oh God!
Yeah, I mean, by now, all the changes and the story is well known at this point. 200 million budget, because they obviously thought it was going to do bonkers. It only took 206 million, and certain writers noted that the movie appeared to be a metafiction designed to intentionally antagonize for audiences of the first film, rebuking those who idolized the Joker and pushed against the notion of fan service. The musical sequences were notably off key, and in one such scene, Joker says to Harley, who is apparently supposed to be a stand-in for the audience, I don't think we're giving the people what they want.
No shit.
Yeah. Very much also seen as a black eye for Warner Brothers. Todd Phillips was apparently unreachable at his ranch during the release weekend. Gee,
I'm sure that someone probably went to check on it to make sure he hadn't necked himself. Right. Well, no, the thing is, no, I think but Todd Howard, he deliberately did this, and
yeah, I think
Warner Brothers, I'm sure that if the guy who runs Warner Brothers has his way, he's never going to be doing shit for Warner Brothers again, because the amount of money this lost. Because again, as a rule of thumb, whenever you hear a box office number, assume that the producing studio gets half of it. Yeah. Right, because you've got to pay money to cinemas and distribution. Blah, 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 blah. So if you say a movie made 200 million at the box office, well, the studio who made it probably would only get 100 million, and then they've got their costs out of that. But Zaslav, I'm surprised Zaslav didn't have him taken out and shot, because this has completely erased any profits the original Joker made.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So if you put the two together, it's now a net loss.
Yeah. I'll finish it on this bit unless anyone else has got anything they want to chip into on Joker 2. I can't play the clip for copyright reasons, but Joe Rogan had Tim Dillon on the show, who's a comedian who appeared in the film. He's one of the Arkham guards. And when he was asked about it, Dillon goes, "It's the worst film that's ever been made, and it had no plot." And mentioned that when he was sitting down with some of the cast members and he heard some of the lines for a scene being shot, one of them said to him, "What the fuck is this? This is going to bomb, man." And it did.
It's essentially a $200 million art therapy project for the director, so he can shit on the chuds.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Lady Gaga because she actually wants to get into acting, and I feel like this is going to hurt that.
Oh, she needs to fire her agent and actually, pick roles that don't suck.
I've watched the season of what was it? American Horror that she was in. She's actually decent.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
She do quite well when allowed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's also the bait and switch at the end of the movie where that's not actually the Joker anyways. Fuck off.
Right. And then to one which I'm going to say I personally think this should have got more attention. Subservience. Now, I know people don't like Megan Fox, and her acting has been, let's say, questionable in the past. But
Megan Fox.
But this, she was creepy as shit. And, you got the whole thing of the androids being taken home to serve around the house, and the risk that they pose in the end to workers and their jobs. It was a digital-only release. I have no idea what the budget was for it, but it took $246,000 at whatever box office it was. I have no idea if it's successful or not, but
no. Again, I've seen people ripping on it because one of the plot points is you've got essentially a husband and wife in an unhappy marriage, and they get
No, that's not what it is. The wife is in hospital because she's severely ill, and the husband is struggling, and the robot helps. But after he sort of resets her programming so she can understand the film, because he doesn't get why she doesn't get it. She starts kind of rewriting her own program to make sure she can serve him better, and it just goes off the rails.
Yeah, I did see one of the lines. Was it this or something else where they essentially had the same sort of plot, right? You had essentially sexy android servant sort of thing, and the wife is not, shagging the husband. I'm like, oh wow, the husband is shagging the fembot. Who could have seen this coming?
That happens while she's in the hospital.
Okay,
I
didn't know about the hospital part, but I had seen the jokes about. Oh my god, you have hot Megan Foxbot. Hot. Well, again, relatives no, the husband has stuck his dick in it. How could you not see that coming?
Yeah,
well, it's kind of a trope at this point.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But as far as hot, quote unquote Megan Fox, it's I've seen the bit from someone discussing it where she's done the whole shimmy the dress off to be standing there in underwear and honey,
You're a bit
Your
past
stomach
it,
is concave. Your stomach is concave. You've got the liposuction concave weird skin tummy. Your hip bones are popping. Your collarbones are popping. You need a sandwich,
Have a sandwich.
sweetie.
There was a UK series called Humans.
Yeah.
That kind of dealt with a similar kind of theme about like robots and that kind of thing. And I thought that was really well done. And it's the same trope, right? Husband sleeps with the robot.
All right. So then we got another one.
I just want to caveat my thing with the Megan Fox and there's thin, and there's naturally thin, and then there's an obvious liposuction tummy.
Yeah.
Where in case of you're crossing a line of you had too much liposuction done to the point your stomach now looks odd. And it's you've kind of taken weight loss and whatnot a little bit too far.
She's starting to look a little like Michael Jackson.
Yeah. It also shows in her neck how much she's had a drastic weight loss because of how stringy her neck is as well.
Yeah. All right. So on to another one, which was a release that came and went. Venom: The Last Dance. Not much to say about this. $120 million budget. It took 475.5 million, seen over as an improvement over the second film, which was fucking terrible. But again, it just came and went.
Mid.
I will watch it. It's on.
I'll watch it at some point. But
yeah,
I'm just not that interested. That's the general consensus I'm aware of.
I'll watch it for Tom Hardy, but that's about it.
Yeah, of all the Sony spin-off Spider-Man films, I think Venom does represent like the best of them.
Yeah,
but that's like being the one person who can see in a sea of blind people.
Yeah, absolutely.
The general consensus I got from that is if you got a 10 to 13-year-old son, he'll basically love it. If you like as an adult, you like the previous movies, not so much.
Yeah,
it's kind of gotten too safe, because especially the first Venom, that was horrendously violent, and they've basically toned it down for 2, and they've cranked it too low by 3. In which case if you've got a young boy who likes Venom and whatnot, he'll think this is the greatest thing ever. You not so much.
Yeah,
right. And then on to I don't usually cover Christmas movies, but this one was an interesting case. Red One. Now, I got dragged to see this at the cinema with my wife and youngest son. And I'll be honest, it was relatively entertaining, but the dialogue surrounding it was interesting because you got a $250 million budget, but it took 181 at the box office. But contrary to the usual of everyone saying it was a flop, it actually wasn't, because Amazon paid for the movie outright, made the money back through advertising. So as Midnight's Edge talked about, the box office takings were gravy. And the one writer that did attempt to say, this isn't a flop, he had others trying to tell him, you've got to correct that, to which he stood his ground saying it's not, because it's this
is the new financial model for streaming type stuff, right? And so it's the way this is the way, right? The way forward in terms of Hollywood's got to adapt.
Again, mildly entertaining, but there'll be more of them.
I'm just a sucker for anything with J.K. Simmons in it, really.
Yeah, he's good.
I love J.K. Simmons.
All right. and then Gladiator 2.
Nope.
Again, the movie, a sequel no one asked for, and then again, it had the whole, the trailers for it, just you're doing woke stuff again.
$210 million budget. It took 416 million. Filled with multiple historical inaccuracies, such as Denzel Washington's character not being black in real life, the Trojans fighting in the Battle of Salamis, Emperor Caracalla naming his monkey as a council, and no historical record of a Roman general named Marcus Acacius. It actually led to one historian from the University of Chicago to label the movie as, and I quote, total Hollywood bullshit.
Yep.
And again, nobody asked for this.
Nope. And it's how many decades too late?
Yep. All right. And then you've got Wicked. Now,
this was I've seen the interviews. I'll let you do your thing.
Yeah, so $150 million budget, but it took 580 million. Known more for the controversy surrounding the poster and the fan art, which pissed off the main star, and also the mistaken printing of the porn website on the back of the toy packets, which
that was hilarious. Yeah.
But it has been critically well received. But it was also noted that right before the release, it was actually noted that the movie was part 1 and only covers the first half of the stage play, which was, if you think about it, very deceptive marketing, because but I understand why they did it, because I think of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 not making a lot of money. And if you notice on streaming, it's just referred to as Dead Reckoning now. What was you going to say?
This is just milking theater kids.
Yeah.
And the actress, the fan art was better. The fan art's corrected the poster, and in my mind, they actually corrected. Even though I'm not a Wicked fan, it's like no, they corrected the poster to where it looked like it should have.
Yeah.
Right, because it looks like the original book art, etc. I'm like, you're not being erased, you little narcissist. Shut up.
Because the poster, the actress looks like she's dead behind the eyes, and I just thought,
So my daughter is one of those theater kids. She was obsessed with this.
I'm sorry.
So I actually know a lot more about the plot and the meaning behind a lot of this, and I think than your average layman, I guess, who's not into musicals. And when I kind of caught on to the poster controversy, I was just like, but that's the part of the thing.
Yeah,
so the whole green skin aspect is actually part of the, it is a commentary on racism. What do you know? This is good. This is what, yeah. So,
and then on to another one which will get a laugh out of people. Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. $130 million budget, took 43.9. There were minor hopes for this one, and I do mean minor in the strongest possible sense, based on who the director was, because he directed Margin Call, which was a good movie. But it soon turned out that the film was marginally better than Madam Web, and I say marginally again in the strongest possible sense, and has apparently signaled the end of Sony's superhero universe. Oh, shocker.
Yeah, it's what happens when you basically take a character no one knows of unless they're a Spider-Man fan and try to turn them into a villain who's just straight up balls to the wall. He is fucking evil. Into but I'm a sympathetic villain.
Yeah.
Hollywood really
no one knows about and doesn't work without Spider-Man.
Yeah, and Hollywood really needs to get away from this sympathetic villain bullshit.
Yeah,
right? Again, stop hiring narcissistic writers. Oh no, they're just misunderstood. No, they're evil. Right? Again, they are not a good person, and this is the thing is I just see this more and more of this narcissism shit in Hollywood, and again, people going, but why is this villain a bad person? I like this, I'm like, yes, because you are a bad person.
Right, and then we've got one which I know Wombat's going to be pleased that I'm mentioning. Yep. Lord of the Rings, the War of the Rohirrim.
War of the fan fiction writers. Yeah. This is Lord of the Rings fan fiction and nothing more. It's just somehow
based on a daughter of some other character, based on a daughter of a random character who wasn't even named.
Yeah.
This was made actually so that they could keep the rights to the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Right. So
$30 million budget, but so far taken 15.7. Not so warmly received by many of the fans, as you probably guessed. And apparently more than 60 animation companies were bought in to finish the movie. And in some scenes, you can blatantly tell the difference.
Yeah, that smacks of just, again, bad project management, treating studios like shit, not paying them.
Yeah. So we'll finish this is the last one we'll talk about before we have our little debate. And this is one that I took my youngest son to see at the cinema because he's seen the first two with him. Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Movie of the year.
Yeah.
Was it good?
It was fun. It was an absolutely fun movie. It was well written. Jim Carrey is great. The voice cast is fantastic, especially Keanu Reeves as Shadow.
Yeah.
100 and actually, this is the fun part about it because I haven't actually updated the what's his names, the figures, because they take time to update on the internet, unfortunately. But on a budget of 122 million, it has so far taken 111 million. But because of how
only
long,
been out, and it's only been out a week, and it's
yeah.
Christmas and everything else. You'll see a bigger numbers update.
So it will increase, I reckon. The film was widely praised, especially for Keanu Reeves, as I said, as Shadow, who, according to the director, very clearly had gone and done his homework.
Nice.
Because he
but Keanu does again. He is a professional.
Yeah, because and I quote, he said he wanted to make a fan faithful rendition of the character, and he does.
Oh, that's an Amazon in Hollywood right now. Oh, you're making stuff for fans. Oh,
yeah. Oh. Which the Sonic series, to be fair to them, has done, especially after they corrected that god awful first version.
But at least with that example, they actually went to the fan base, and the fan base gave them useful feedback, and they took it on board. That's exactly what should happen. So, again, I got nothing but time for them. Even, again, not necessarily a Sonic fan, but I'm like, this is doing it right, and you get rewarded.
And
Jim Carrey has basically, he was only going to do Robotnik for the one movie, but with the response he got and the fact his grandkids are so happy about it, he's stuck it out and kept doing it.
Yeah.
So with regards to like the Sonic series, I think that this is a really good and faithful
it is.
attempt at a video game adaptation. Right? It's not 100%, obviously. It never can be, right? And I had to actually check my bias because the first film, my living room window is in it. So, yeah, it was filmed. It was literally filmed right down the street for me, and like
that's like funny. It's having lived there now. I can't watch movies and just without seeing
right.
Like I was watching like what Sicario, what was supposed to be set in Mexico, and one of the scenes I'm like, oh god damn it! I've walked down that street. I know exactly where that is. It's not in Mexico.
But God. But the voice acting is especially good. I mean, Ben Schwartz is fantastic as Sonic.
Yeah.
The lady that did Tails, I can't think of her name. Something O'Shaughnessy. She's good. Idris Elba is just clearly having fun as Knuckles.
Yeah.
And again,
I didn't like the series, but yeah.
Well, we hadn't seen the series yet, but again, Keanu Reeves stole the show as Shadow for the few scenes he's in.
Okay.
But it has a hell of an end credit sequence. I'm not going to spoil it here for those who haven't seen it. I'll talk about it off stream if you want. But another character is unveiled, and my son was practically bouncing around in his seat when he saw them. I have to be careful here, and literally he wouldn't shut up about it all the way home. And he was constantly saying to me, "Who do you think will play such and such?" And I was like, "Mate, I haven't got a clue. Let's just wait and see." But yeah, there is a fourth film in development, so I imagine in a few years' time we'll be talking about that on these streams. So fair play to him because it was a very entertaining film.
Cool.
So we'll finish on a little debate regarding the industry and the products they put out. I'm at the time in my life now where it takes a lot for me to go to the cinema because there is so much crap coming out, and streaming services are no better. To me, it's a case of I'm not going to go see it unless I feel it's worth my time, because as someone's pointed out to me in the past, it's a fight for people's time more than it is their money, especially with streaming services. So what do you think is the best way forward in all this?
Well, again, the bush is going to have to burn.
Yeah.
Before and so it's going to be, you're going to see a massive change in the industry. Hollywood, again, I'm really kind of grumpy that my bank won't let me do US stock shorting, because I would short Disney like hell, because 2025 is going to be an absolute bloodbath for Disney in 2025, because a lot of their horses are going to come in, and not in a good way.
Well, Snow White.
Oh, it's not just that. It's just there's so much stuff where they've kicked a lot of financial cans down the road, and they can't do that. They can't do that forever. And I think it's
I'm just gonna I'm just gonna throw this out there. COVID changed it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, hang on. I would actually say COVID accelerated the damage, right? COVID, it was already happening. COVID accelerated it. And it really just, was pushing on a half open door. So, and now we're just seeing that damage accelerating even more because Hollywood just flat out refuses to learn.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's also them caring about opinions from people that they really shouldn't, such as the loud idiots on social media, and also idiotic stars like Peter Dinklage, who I think started the dominoes falling on the chaos that is to Snow White. No, I think he did, because the moment he said, criticized them for using dwarfs in the story.
Yeah, hang on, but there's also another aspect to this is by default, all films will try and get an Oscar, right? And now you remember that the Oscars released their whole diversity thing. It's like, hey, if you want to even qualify for an Oscar now, your film must meet the following checkboxes. Yes. That was another massive accelerating factor, because that basically got all studios just picked that up as standard operating procedure now.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, if you're a big studio, you want to get an Oscar for anything, and this includes VFX and technical Oscars, your film must tick the following boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna throw this one out there. I don't give two fucks about these award
ceremonies. I don't. No, you don't. But the industry does.
The industry you're right. The industry does, but normal people do not. And this was pre-warned by Ricky Gervais in that famous Golden Globe speech. Where he said afterwards he was trying to warn celebrities that it wouldn't play well what they were trying to do with the audiences. And I don't think the Oscars numbers ever recovered after that. And the only time I've ever given a shit about the Oscars in recent times was what we mentioned earlier in the stream with Godzilla -1 getting one, which I thought it was well deserved. That's the only time I've ever given a toss about it.
Oh,
yeah, but again, even the technical stuff, and Godzilla -1 kind of really only got that Oscar because it came in just under the radar, just over the line as to when those new requirements kicked in.
Yeah.
Right. But my point is, I'm like, no, I completely agree with you, Kyle. It's like normal people don't give a shit about that, but the Oscars are not aimed at normal people. The industry does.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
but the Oscars, I think as far as a viewing thing, has been on a massive decline for a long time. It's only in recent times they finally actually woken up to the fact that it's a case of no one's watching this shit anymore because no one cares.
Yeah.
All these movies that you're flating yourselves about, the general audience is like,
Again, Oscar bait is a thing. Yeah, again, Oscar bait's a thing, and
I think there's something to be said though about something I brought up at the beginning of the stream, and that is the increasing frequency of independent productions, right? And I think, in my dream of dreams, that's the way. That's the way forward. That's the future. This legacy Hollywood industry bullshit. They're so numbers focused that they're losing their numbers because of it.
Well, actually, I would actually argue they're focusing on the wrong numbers, right? In some ways they are number focused, but they're incredibly shitty metrics, and they're metrics that are telling them what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. If they were actually focusing on proper metrics, we wouldn't have this problem. But again, this has been talked about by other content creators in terms of some of the services they use where they measure engagement. And I hate that term because people are talking about your movie. Yeah, people are talking about how shit your movie is. Not all publicity is good publicity.
Well, because it was like, just to put this in, this thing that kicked up with the He-Man series on Netflix. Because Kevin Smith said, and he let this slip during one of his interviews, when he said to Netflix bosses, should we be worried about this? And they went, no, we've already got their money.
That's a bad way to look at it. There's like this legacy Hollywood, I think, is a dying industry. It's still huge. Don't get me wrong. Like they're still working with billions of dollars that we don't have. But I think that like more and more groups like like Corridor Digital and like these, just if you go on YouTube, you can find some like amazingly well produced fan films that were made on zero budget. And
passion.
It's passion, exactly, and because filmmaking is so much more accessible these days than it used to be. You can make one with your fucking iPhone.
Well, look at what was it, Chad Vader?
Yeah.
To be frank, it's like this has been a thing for a lot longer than just your iPhone. It's just like I was recently watching one that came up on YouTube free of watching a documentary of the classic sci-fi movies and that, and using stop motion animation and what it evolved from.
Yeah.
And even watching that, it's like all the guys that were basically like just saying, "Oh, this like Ray Harryhausen stuff got me into movies." That they were making their own movies with 8mm film.
Yeah.
So it's always been a thing. It's just now it's gone from you kind of had to weasel your way into getting your film put to VHS and then get it into a store to you don't even need that anymore. You've got the internet. You can just make your movie how you want with piss all budget with your bodies and a few people who give you a bit of like through some of the things you've learned from trial and error and put it out there and no one can stop you.
Yeah, nobody can stop you. The only problem is getting exposure.
Yeah,
that's it.
I was chasing exposure.
That's all you really got to think about.
That's always been a thing that's been hard, but it's a case of now you got more means to chase exposure, whereas before all you could do was basically like grease the right palms to get your movie onto VHS and into a few video stores, and then hope your cover that you've picked for it gets enough eyeballs and people start picking it up and watching it. And
you gotta buy some D-pads.
But now it's a case of you've got more opportunities now to get yourself out there and chase your own advertising without paying anyone. It's just you just kind of have to put the mileage in.
Yeah.
And figure out you got to put the mileage in and figure out where are the people that I'm chasing for my audience, what are they looking for, and how can I best so they go, hi, I'm here, here's my thing. Would you like to give it a look?
Yeah.
And unfortunately that takes time, but it takes time and effort and trial and error, but you will eventually get there.
Yeah. So is the answer for now then just to not watch anything that is coming out that?
Well, again, it's a lot of the same. My argument is a lot of the same with the gaming stuff. Is ignore AAA, and then again, don't see stuff on release day. Just sort of wait and see what people are saying and whether it's any good. But you said at this point, your time is precious, so you got to be sparing about how you spend it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is if also if you've got studios that have a track history of doing bad stuff, like just as much as it sucks, just assume that they'll be bad unless proven otherwise.
Yeah.
I would just recommend, like, if you watch a trailer, if it looks interesting to you, go see it. That's it.
Yeah. And that's the problem as well, because there's so many cases of there's been quite a few movies of late, and like especially in the last 10 years or so, where it's a case of the trailer was a whole pile of what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And it turned out the movie was good. It's just whoever cut the trailer did an absolute rancid job or gave away all the juicy main story points.
Yeah. Sometimes they're very limited in what they can do too, right?
You got to balance that whole.
You can only use these parts.
Yeah, you got to balance the whole enticing without giving everything away, while also make sure what you're enticing them with is actually what they're going to get. Versus because one of the ones that was I never forgot that Del Toro ended up firing all the people he had involved with making the trailer for was Crimson Peak.
All right.
He's like. That trailer had nothing about what the movie actually was. Hence why people were confused. Like, we thought it was going to be a gothic horror. It's just like, no, it's a gothic romance with some horror elements and ghosts.
But the thing is, you say about the trailers, I'm still apprehensive because I know this is a film stream, but I'm remembering the trailer for The Last of Us 2. Because that, well, there you go. See, that promised a whole load more adventures of Joel and Ellie, which is what everyone wanted. But then what we got, you all know what we got. So even then, I'm still very apprehensive about the whole thing now.
Again, and that's why a lot of people, that's also another way, like the usual media are basically pissing shit and spinning and squealing, is because everyone's like, we don't trust you anymore. It's like, even from the trailers, we trust random people that we've come to follow on things like YouTube and see what they have to say. And if they've basically given us a generalized good response, then we'll go see it. If they're giving us a generalized meh or what the fuck ew, then we don't.
Well, we've got, like, here's the thing is these YouTube critics and stuff like that, they're a hell of a lot more worth their salt than a lot of these paid critics on legacy media newspapers and stuff like that. I mean, look at Piers Morgan. He's inviting Critical Drinker. He's inviting, like all these Nerdrotic, all these and also people on the left too. He's inviting them all onto his show because he knows that they actually are intelligent. they do have an audience. People do support them, and it works, right?
And they're also very upfront about these connections and that.
Absolutely.
Unlike the advertisers, like these guys who basically, I'm one of you guys. I was like, I was paid, like, paid for this? No. Oh, you caught me out.
Yeah.
They're like, sorry, your opinion's bought and paid for. At least with these guys, they'll straight up say, yes, I was invited to this thing. I was even paid to come. Like, my accommodations, whatever else, were paid to come to this thing. But I'm still going to give you my honest opinion, despite that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it makes me think of the line from Paul Simon's "The Sound of Silence." The words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls. To me, that's YouTubers with stuff like this, because they will say what they think.
Well, they've got the freedom too. It's just a case of we're not beholden to that. We don't care. Said it's funnily enough again. If you ever read, my favorite book by Hunter S. Thompson is Fear and Loathing in 72, where he covers the Nixon-McGovern campaign. And he openly says he went to Washington. He had zero interest in forming long-term political connections for a Capitol Hill beat. He's like, no, I'm covering the election and I really don't give a shit what happens after that.
Yeah.
Right. So, and again, a lot of the YouTube channels like, we don't have to care about the industry and forming connections and worrying about whether they're going to just, blacklist us. We'll find something else to do. Right. We'll cover them regardless. We don't need them. They need us more than we need them.
Yeah.
Also, generally speaking, these YouTubers, they fork out their own money to go see these movies or pay for the streaming services.
Some of the times.
Oh yeah, but a lot of, quite a few of the times. Sorry?
Matey.
Yeah, or they just basically go, okay, this isn't even worth me forking the money out, so I'll freely say I pirated it. But a lot of times, they'll still fork out the money to buy a ticket or fork out the money to have the streaming service to watch these shows and movies, so they can say, yeah, I forked out the money, I went to see it so you don't have to, and here's I've literally walked out, here's what I thought.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So we'll leave it there then for now. But I'd like to thank everyone for listening in, and I'd like to thank the panelists for joining me on this rather lengthy discussion, but it was a good one. And I hope everyone has had a great Christmas, and I hope everyone has a happy New Year. We'll continue these streams into the New Year and beyond because, well, I'm enjoying myself. I don't know about you guys.
Yep.
So for now, take care, everyone, and I'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.